S&P 500 gapping down to start the day after a pretty wild session. You had the gap up yesterday morning, then trading lower right at the open and chopping throughout the day. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq looking pretty similar, and again, gapping down to roughly session lows for both yesterday and Wednesday. Let's see if we can break that low and push lower to end the week, or find a little bit of bounce. We'll take a look at USO as well. Continuing headlines here coming out of the Middle East. And as you can see, a little bit of an uptick in oil over the last 30 minutes or so. You've got comments coming out of Israel and Lebanon. That situation, of course, still a bit unresolved. Yesterday, some of that move to the upside that we had pre-market at least continued, came as we had some economic data, specifically PCE and GDP. GDP a little bit better or hotter than expected here, and we're going to get some more economic data today at 8:30 a.m. You get retail inventories and advanced goods trade, so nothing massive. But then at 10 a.m. you do get a key number, the final University of Michigan consumer sentiment print for the month of June. We are expecting a slight uptick, so let's wait and see if that comes to fruition. In the meantime, we have to talk about a lot of names today. Here's one of the reasons that we have this drop in tech this morning. That's Micron, MU. After its well-received earnings report on Thursday night, generally held onto a lot of its strength yesterday, but today we're actually hanging out right near yesterday's low of session. Apple was pretty weak yesterday despite the strength that Micron and some of these memory names tried to bring to the market. They're going to be back in focus today. You've got headlines involving Microsoft and OpenAI, SpaceX, tons to talk about this morning. Sharif, happy Friday. How are you today?
Good. Thank you, Adira. Starlink trying to throw their hat into the mobile ring here, challenging these wireless giants. Interesting take here from SpaceX. We've been talking a lot about how, they could be competitive with some of these incumbents. Also, USO continues to drop. On Semi with a big acquisition here of Synaptics, $7 billion, give or take. I'm sure Neil will have more to say on that buyout. We got FDX Freight reporting for the first time. Good look there. And we got Apogee also earnings rally. And then Microsoft under scrutiny here by the Italian regulator for their Microsoft 365 pricing, something to keep an eye on. And Palantir, Adira, 7 straight days of selling. Tough look.
Yeah, rough look for some of these tech names, to be sure, guys, but certainly not a rough look over at the trading desk. We have Neil, and back with him again today is Joe. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Well, see, the good news is Palantir is actually up a point. Microsoft is up a point. Netflix is up 0.5%. I'm just looking at my quote board, which is not the entirety of the market. Unfortunately, everything else gapped out. It was a rough one. If you don't want to be SoftBank this morning, obviously, because overnight tech just put in a little bit of a turn. You can't ignore the elephant in the room. I saw multiple people in the chat talking about this already. The double top on the Qs and the loss of the 50 period on the NQ yesterday. And this is a big day. Like, can we actually hold on to some of this? That's what made, I don't know, Micron feeling like it made a bit of a top. We talked about this possibility already, and literally overnight you heard OpenAI, now possibly we might not see that IPO till next year. So that's already been being discussed. Like, we were just throwing that idea out a little bit as a thought yesterday, and it was like, you're all doom and gloom. And all of a sudden it's looking like it's a possibility. They might push it back, citing sentiment reasons, but volatility is good because it creates opportunity out there. SpaceX and that 150 is going to be in play today. Bitcoin and that 60,000 once again going to be in play. But rough start so far. Apparently we have to replace Joe's. We got the mic issues already.
Like I've said anything.
I don't know. I just hear we already got to. See, this is what happens when. See, yesterday, Joe. This is karma, Joe. Because yesterday, if you were here and you stuck with us all day long, Joe had the band hammer out in the afternoon, which I actually admitted was probably reasonably justified in that situation. We had a poll about it and everything, and we allowed it under those circumstances after I realized why said person probably deserved the band hammer.
Listen, the people spoke. Neil, the people spoke.
It was like 50. It was 54-46. It wasn't like
majority. Hey, man, I am a man of the people. You know what Mike Tyson once said, right? said greatness is when you are amongst the people, when you have the ability to be amongst all of them. That is the true definition of greatness. And he's saying Floyd's a scared little man. He isn't great, right? Because he can't go out on his own and be amongst the people like Muhammad Ali and the Mike Tysons of the world right now.
That is
crazy that I'm kind of comparing myself to those two. No, but
that just happened.
Yeah. Hey, man, it is what it is. Live big, dream big. In all seriousness, guys, yeah, I mean, it's not ugly. I looked at my long-term portfolio this morning. Neil's like, what are you doing? I then proceeded to question myself and be like, what am I actually doing here? But anyways, aside from that, VIX is up 6%, guys. We're up to $20 here this morning. You have USO down 2.7%, and you just go across the board and you're looking for any signs of strength. And a name that's been beaten up the hardest, Microsoft, is one of the stronger tech names here today. So you get 1% on this bad boy, which I don't believe anybody's going to complain about at this point. So, I mean, it's tougher. What do you expect when you go on these big-time runs? Zealand and I also talking about this leg here from late May all the way up to here. That additional 8% that you got, I feel, was slightly unnecessary. But this is what happens, man. Adara likes this one. You ride like lightning. Eventually, unfortunately, you're going to crash like some thunder here. I don't know if we're going to fall all the way back down, but at some point, you're going to see a pullback. And it's not going to be pretty for everybody who's been buying up and around these all-time highs. So, and it's funny because I was mentioning to the group here, and I'm like, yeah, it's insane to think that at some point last year, you were catching stocks at a 40% discount, right? Like, that's crazy. So during the tariff tantrum, you had NVDA down 43% from peak to trough. Now, are we going to fall into that neck of the woods now? No, I don't think so. But you're down 20% here in this, in the highest market cap name in the stock market. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. But when you go on parabolic runs like the AMDs, eventually you're going to see some pullback, and it might get ugly for those people who are not willing to take any profits. So, yeah, a little bit tougher look this morning, but it's only one day. You got to zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out. And apparently, stonks only go up. So
that's not true.
Good stonks.
Good stonks only go up?
Yeah.
Sometimes good stonks, whatever we're calling them, they get smoked too.
They get smoked.
They get hit. They get bamboozled. They get hoodwinked. It happens. We've been talking about, one of the things that we've been talking about is for the Mag 7 and the big hyperscalers, is how Apple hadn't been one of those spenders and how that would insulate them some way. Yet now they start talking about spending a little bit more. And now they got to raise prices, and all of a sudden, look at what just happened to Apple. It went from boring to not really boring if you're a short seller. That's for sure last night. So, well, yesterday I should say. But you know, this one at least interesting because it's got the 200 period moving average, and it's not very often that you get that big of a move down in Apple. And most of the big ones, within a day or two, you see a bounce, like big down day, bounce, down bounce, bounce. Sometimes you get a couple of days in a row, but it's the kind of stock, even if it's like a muted one, the most recent time that it had a big one and it bounced off a major moving average, you were able to catch like a scalp long off the low. Similar thing, if it holds a low, I mean, if it doesn't break the low, there's only one place to go.
Ooh.
That's one of my favorite sayings following a down day. It was Luca came up with that one. I was like, man, I like that. Because you're staring something down after like a disaster day. You know, it made a double bottom. It's like, well, you're just looking at something technically, and let's step back and just think of it that way. Well, if the market presses a little bit lower and this doesn't break that low, like you can do a heck of a lot worse than just playing off of something like that. So I got that on the mind at least a little bit here. On Apple. Adara just threw in the chat that everyone should watch The Place Beyond the Pines, which I haven't seen. So I'm trying to add. Where can I even watch that thing for free?
Probably on like Prime or something like that.
All right, so add that to one of my lists. No, it's weird. Like it's like, yeah, I've never seen that movie. So.
It's Cooper. It's Bradley Cooper. Yeah, Bradley Cooper in it as well too.
Ava Mendes, Dane DeHaan, Emery Cohen, a lot of people who came up after that movie. It's a good movie.
So actually, it's a very, very good movie. an upper echelon movie.
Yeah, how have I not seen that? I look at that cast.
It's actually so good, and I like how it's broken up into 2 parts too. It's like
don't be spoiling stuff.
I'm not spoiling, man.
That's not a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler, man. It's like 2 different stories. But no, aside from that, man, any sports? Talk about how the Jays do last night. I didn't get to pick it up, or did they beat the Rangers or no?
So how about let's talk about AMC?
Oh no, that's
Wendy's
not
maybe.
good, man.
Is there any small cappers moving around that we can discuss? Man,
what happened though? I didn't even look at the score yet.
our ace had his worst start in forever last time, and then I made a comment to my wife. I was like, it was early in the game. He gave up like a leadoff home run, and I'm like, wow, it can't be worse than last time.
What was Bieber up to?
And then I said it can't be worse than last time. Next thing I know, this dude's giving up 6 runs in 3 innings.
What
We
happened?
came back to make it 6-5 in the 9th, and then just couldn't get the last run. Went down, and I talked to my. If there's one thing that grinds my gears, and I can even relate this back to trading. We lost by 1 run, and the last batter washed the pitch fastball right down the middle. When I coach my daughter's my daughter's team, 9-year-olds. I go, look, I don't want you to go down looking. Like, you can't go down looking at a pitch down the middle of the plate. You just can't do it. It's the equivalent in trading of I'm staring down SpaceX at 150.
Ooh.
I'm staring down the all-time break. Like, everyone's looking at that level. All-time low, it's an IPO. The all-time low is literally like last week. But you're staring it down. This is what it's been working to. You're a trader. You're looking for that short. It could break the level. You could fire the order, and there's so much slippage that you don't get the fill. That happens. That's happened plenty of times, right? Like, it breaks an even dollar. You don't cross far enough, you don't get the fill. Or it breaks, it's a false break, it snaps right back, and you get stopped out at the low or something like that. Ish happens. So you go long off the bottom, it wicks you out, and then it goes to the high. But those moments, you're going to trade those moments. That's the idea. You can't go down. You just can't go down looking at a pitch right down the middle. Anyways, let's move on to a super chat, because obviously you can tell I wasn't happy with the game. Morning, are we shorting SLS on speculative news? Well, I'm not shorting anything with that volume. That's first. So I'm going to throw that out there. What's interesting when it comes to shorting something, and I meant to make this comment when Sharif was doing the opening crawl there, and he had said, Neil probably has some things to say about ON and their all-stock acquisition. What is really not a very good sign of sentiment, it is perfectly normal in a large acquisition. This is a $7 billion acquisition they're making. It's perfectly normal when you have a big acquisition that's like mostly stock or all stock to see the acquiring company be down. To see it down 13% is a little bit different. And that speaks to, it's a double-edged sword here. It's sentiment plus how they're paying for the deal, which is to dilute. It's not a very good look for them. And I don't know that I've ever shorted pops in an all-stock acquisition before. But this one is at least on my mind. Like, if this pops and tries to break out, I might be looking to fade into the gap on ON. I'm not really thinking SSR bounce or anything like that, but this is one it's a bit on the brain, man.
Okay.
A bit on the brain.
I hear you. Yeah, I mean, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point this market finds a recovery. That's going to be a real sign of strength. See what DRAM's up to here today. It's $73, an additional gap down. I just felt like whatever we went through yesterday was unnecessary, and now we're giving back the majority of it there. So, I mean, DRAM right back down. We are, let's fire everything right back up, 17%. Maybe we start to dabble in a little bit. You know how we say around these neck of the woods, guys, you don't put your full position in all at once. You start to grab a little here, a little there, just in case it gets pretty ugly, which Sharif said to me, Joseph, you seem awfully bearish on NVDA as of late. And I am, full disclosure. I just don't know what's going on with this stock. fantastic blowout numbers, and it's just really, really not performing how you would expect it to, like some of these other names. But I mean, it comes from a growth standpoint too, right? When you're that big, it makes it a little bit more difficult to grow, and we say the same thing about Apple. So yeah, send it back to the desk, see what they're up to.
We're going to talk about some of these memory names here, which I think are worth discussing. Will come up again on the rundown, I'm sure. But in the meantime, I want to talk about QUCY. I've seen some people in the chat talking about this name. Quantum Cyberboard is the company's name. Apparently, they improve engaging investment bankers to acquire an equity stake in SpaceX. Now, this follows yesterday, Triller, that ILLR, which announced its own stake in SpaceX. I mean, Sharif, do you think this is like maybe the next crypto treasury type play with all of these small caps announcing some kind of stake in SpaceX here?
I have no idea, Dara. Taking me by surprise on this one. Not really an area I know too much about.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this continues, because this is a really interesting pattern, I think kind of similar to what we were seeing with those crypto treasury plays in early 2025 throughout the year from some of these small caps. But let's talk about MU. Micron here. This is actually near yesterday's session low. Lots of weakness in a lot of these other names. SanDisk traded even better than Micron on Micron's earnings, but they're gapping down. Memory pulling back sharply here. Yeah,
it is. It's a pretty aggressive move, and a lot of analysts are worried that the data center build-out could come to a halt or slow down, not halt obviously, but slow down significantly because of the increasing price of memory. Now, we saw Apple have to raise prices yesterday. We saw Microsoft have to raise prices yesterday specifically around this issue. So something to be concerned about here. Now, we are also talking from the consumer side as opposed to the hyperscaler build-out side. You're talking about demand destruction if prices continue to go up. And that's what I think the Apple sell-off yesterday, as I articulated on the midday show, is all about. The products that Apple announced yesterday that were getting price increases are not needle movers for Apple. They are a drop in the bucket relative to what they generate from iPhone sales. And so what my opinion is, the market is superimposing the increases on the products announced yesterday, whether it was iPads or the Mac Neo or the MacBook, whatever, those products. And it's saying, okay, if they're increasing it this amount on this product, then here's what we're gauging they're going to increase it on the iPhone. And if they increase it on the iPhone by this amount, here's how much demand destruction we gauge will be sort of manifesting. So this is my take on Apple. I think it's a dangerous spiral, Adara, especially for these consumer electronics makers.
Yeah, I mean, you had, of course, the Microsoft Xbox announcement as well, and Apple had its worst day in over a year yesterday. So I think these memory type stories absolutely on watch. Are you guys looking at any of these types of plays today?
Yeah. DRAM.
Yeah, DRAM.
And it was a nice bounce yesterday. You know what? Let's start. We got to start with Micron, I think.
I like QUCY. Thanks for pointing that one out, but it might
QCY.
Yeah.
But hold on a second. Is that the one they were just talking about for the
Quantum Cyberboard approved
the stake in SpaceX?
Acquisition.
Okay, before we talk about Micron for a second.
Yeah.
Like, hold up. So what's the stock again?
QUCY.
QUCY. Okay, let's not leave this for a second. So you mean to tell me a small capper is running because they made an acquisition in SpaceX, which everyone thinks is an overvalued short-term investment? And that's why a stock that did this pump, is that a split? Maybe that's a split. Here, let me just pull it up on eSignal. QUCY here, and let's pull up on a daily. That was probably a split. No, it's not. So it did a pump and dump from 20 cents to 50, all the way back to 140. And then now you're going to tell me that is the reason why you get that bump? Yeah. Don't get me wrong, anything can make a secondary play, but I don't know how good I'd feel about that as a reason for this to have a continuous move.
Maybe this is the next big 10 bagger right here.
Well, look, I mean, momentum can happen on anything for a reasonable period of time, I suppose. Yeah. But like that ain't right. I'm sorry.
It's going now, Neo.
Again, like it is. So this sort of reminds me of like remember when there were all of those space stocks that were running on the hype into the IPO for SpaceX, and one of them was Virgin Galactic, and it was so very obviously different from the other one. I kept joking about it, and well, that's what that feels like to me. Anyways, back to Micron for a quick little second. Look, it wasn't where the expected bounce was. Like it did try to bounce here at 11.8, and then it eventually made the lows and trended higher. That 11.4 is where you got to watch. 11.4 and 12. right? Like that was the bottom end of that range in the morning, and then afternoon support. If we lose that, we're in a world of hurt. I'm gonna prefer DRAM today. I just felt like it was pretty clean, and the way I like the way this is technically. Like it's the prior low is the high. You've got some unobvious 75 levels where I got the long yesterday multiple times. So I'm gonna like the pre-market highs in that 75 for a fade. So turning a little bit bearish on these names is the profit taking just continues. Blow a quarter, yes, but Micron trended down for like a week or so. It's done this in the past and pulled decent pullbacks. So I'm kind of thinking a little bit of the same thing here today. But if we do break out that pre-market high, that prior low, that 75 where the long emerged for good yesterday is going to be that spot that I would also look for the curl. So it might require some patience if we have a bit of a relief rally off of the open, but we're ready for it. We're ready for it. The same way that we're ready on a Friday, obviously, for some options talk. Or are we?
All right, guys, good morning and welcome. Let's take a look at some of the activity from yesterday's session. We're going to kick things off. Apple, a name that we've been talking about quite a bit here this morning, got hit the heaviest at the lows, down over 6%, guys. So what are we going to do? We're going to look at some resistance zones and then later on find out if there's any form of support in the near areas. Now, as for this $300 strike price, guys, bid in the ask is irrelevant, but what I want us to focus on right now is the open interest and the volume within this specific underlying. And our Greek metrics are relatively low. We'll talk about the at-the-money IB here momentarily, but 13,500 contracts at this $300 marker, and then volume around 15,900. Now, what I really want us to point out here is that on Wednesday, our top on the actual underlying, so if you go back a couple of days, you can see from an intraday session, 299.77 was that peak, and that's where we have that trend line drawn right across our chart. There is that open interest most definitely came into play. That's no coincidence, and the stock has yet had the ability to breach that. We are south of that level. Now, as for the at-the-money IV, guys, we're sitting around 43%, okay? So that was a top here on AAPL. Moving forward, let's see if we can find a potential bottom. Now, Apple, once again, at the top of our put activity. And why are we looking at this? I wanted to point out the volume at the money strike price here, just around the close, okay? So that 275 marker, once again, that contract that we were just looking at on the call side expiring today, and then we have this contract expiring today. And then around the close on yesterday's session is when you really start to see those positions being closed, all right? So 78,100 contracts at that level, and then also from the open interest standpoint, 3,480. Now, Robinhood, $90, guys. It's not looking too pretty in the fintech name, guys. We're going to be looking at the open interest. 3,970 contracts still open at that $90 level. We're going to be looking for potential bases. And the key thing is like, Joe, what are we talking about? They're going to be expiring today. Well, you want to look at the concentration and see how that's rolled over to next week. So as for now, we are going to be looking at today's expiration cycle, volume 5,620. And then we also have MSTR. This name has continuously been getting beat up alongside Bitcoin, rightfully so. Volume 33,000 at this $80 strike price, and 7,790 as for the open interest metric. Moving forward, we're going to be looking at Wendy's. The people ask, the people get. Now we're going to be looking at the $9 strike price, guys. 10,000 contracts open at that specific level, and then 23,400 opened and closed on yesterday's session. Now, as for the bid in the ask, you got to take into consideration it's a less than a $9 name, and you have a $5 spread, okay? Your delta sitting at 13, but what I found really interesting here is that your gamma, you have more gamma exposure than what you do in actual delta, which can cause for some sporadic movement and some crazy movement. So be cautious when you are trading these contracts. Now, our at-the-money IV is going to be extremely elevated, sitting around 201%. And now we're going to move forward, take a look at the actual contract itself. Nothing crazy, to be honest with you. We've seen some more appreciation in contracts like Micron, Apple, NVDAs, the AMDs, and some of the other tech plays, but 245% from Wednesday's session to the peak, but then it giving back the majority to the point where it's only worth $10 now at this point. So be careful. Watch out for that volatility decay. We'll be back momentarily with some upgrades and downgrades.
Options. Do you remember the good old days when you could go outside without locking your door? You felt safe to walk down the street. Wendy's stock was trading at $9, and it was the next big, gigantic squeeze that was going to make you a millionaire. Well, that was yesterday, 24 hours ago. And then that happened. So I know we could always want something to be the next crazy squeeze, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. That being said, there's something about these moves. If they never, like, it gapped up and it hasn't broken that low, held it yesterday. If it kind of sideways holds it today at no volume, don't forget about it on Monday or Tuesday of next week, because I think we've seen this before where you can maybe get that last little rally when no one's paying attention, but it's pretty key that it holds that low. I'm not really that interested in it today, but possibly something for next week that you could look at. We have Basu Games, thoughts on today potentially being a flush red. Well, we were just talking about, we opened the show talking about the double top and the Qs. You look at this consolidation under the 50 period, which is starting to form. I think this is awfully binary. And I'm pulling up the QQQ. I could pull up the futures. What would we be looking at on the Nasdaq futures? 29.2 or so would be that low, maybe a little bit lower than that. But you look at the double bottom that got put in the last couple of days. Like, that flush at the open bounced right off the prior day low. So you're looking at 704 in the Qs. Like, from here, it's a tricky one. If you're looking short today and we don't initially bounce, like, you're tight to that low. If we lose that bottom, whether it happens at the open, it's a Friday, so a lot of times it can be a little choppy at the open because of options expiration. You might get a little bit of chop. But if we lose that bid, the flush, how far it would go, you can just look back to the last end of the range here, which is at about 690. So it's not as if it's an absurd amount to the downside, but there's a bunch of names that have this profile on them where, hey, if we're going to lose that bid, like Nvidia is right at the 200 period moving average, holding on to this 192. We already showed Apple sort of at a similar level for a bounce. The one thing that's interesting this morning, I saw someone actually talking about this as well in the chat, possible software bounce. Like, weirdly, the one place that's holding up this morning in tech is software names like Microsoft, Palantir. Like, they're up a point. It's almost as if like they're trying to do this like semi-rotation thing. I guess it's not very strong. You look at the IGV, which is holding on a little bit. But to your point, to go back to the point of weakness, one of the things that we don't always talk about on an everyday basis, but you can't really ignore, is where rates are or are not headed, and the likelihood that it could be to the upside is at least something that we're contending with. The Nasdaq has pulled back, and we just showed you losing the 50-period moving average. The Russell made it top yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like this failed the high yesterday. So you could have this with a little topping tail and even a little bit of a rollover. Like, that starts happening too. Like, we already have, it was all Mag 7 in the big names yesterday. Like, that's really what brought us down. Like, it was not here. Like, you literally made a high in the Russell yesterday. So if this loses a bid, I think that could be an even bigger problem, because then it gets a little bit more broad and then you can get that panic feeling. But for now, that held up pretty well yesterday, the small cappers. So you had to take a bit of a more broad look. Like, there's certain spaces that I'm more negative on. Like, that's why I'm looking at DRAM and I'll be looking at IBIT short as usual. But there were some signs of not as nasty weakness yesterday.
I mean, Applied Materials hitting all-time highs yesterday. Shout out to these guys. Our boy behind us, ASML. Let's see what this one's up to here. That's a little bit off the highs, but nothing to write home about. 9%. Take that all day. Western Digital, SanDisk, STX, DRAM. These guys are all down 5%. But I shouldn't say that. But I mean, come on. At the end, every day for a couple of months for it's like 6%, 7%, 15%, 20% here and there. It's just like, oh, now Sky is apparently falling, Sharif. We are down 5% in a single session. But no, in all seriousness, if you've had the ability to ride that wave, you're having a lot of fun. And then hopefully you're experienced enough to understand that the fact that, yeah, unfortunately, the stocks are going to start to pull back a little bit. I don't think it's anything crazy, to be honest with you. We talk about bottlenecks. JPM tapping into all-time highs yesterday, 343. We like that. Jeremy, shout out to him, Sharif. I know you're talking about what we have going on over there. I'm getting the green light to send it back over to the desk, but Goldman Sachs down 5.5%. Guys, stack it.
I want to talk these economic numbers that just came out here at 8:30 a.m. You had retail inventories, ex autos, 4% here is the actual print. Prior here was 0.7%, forecast is 0.1%. So the print for this number coming kind of in between those two prints. Actual goods trades and balance, negative 105.8 billion. That is going to be below the prior print here, or revised prior print of negative 83 billion. So a little bit of a drop there. Wholesale inventories month over month advanced for the month of May. 0.3% is the actual print. That is going to be above the prior print, below the prior print of 0.7, above the estimate here of 0.2%. Again, we have the much more closely watched economic data print coming at 10 a.m. with the University of Michigan consumer sentiment print, because that also includes an inflation element as well. It's going to be the 5-year inflation expectations and the 1-year inflation expectations, especially of note after some of the PCE data that we got yesterday in GDP. Let's talk here about another thing that is sometimes viewed in relation to inflation. Of course, oil. USO back in focus. We had a little bit of a bounce yesterday, and even a bounce from the lows this morning as well. Still some geopolitical tensions on watch.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's really interesting what's happening here, guys, because what we're seeing now are separate shipping lanes starting to take hold. So just let me make this point for a second. You're seeing a shipping lane go through beside, I should say, the Omani coast, and then you have a separate shipping lane going near the Iranian coast, and nobody's going through the middle. And the reason they're not going through the middle is because it's believed, or at least there's concerns, that there's mines there that still haven't been cleared. So they're going through a very, very narrow lane, most of the ships through the Omani coast. So it's a trickle of what could actually be coming through the strait if the strait isn't entirely open. I think that that's going to have near-term pressure on gas prices, not maybe oil prices, because the market's always forward-looking, because you're not getting that supply back online. These ships take, sometimes 6 weeks to get to their destination. Let's also not gloss over the fact, Adira, that the Iranians fired upon a ship yesterday. This was reported to be a projectile. This is very, very reckless by the Iranians, who are basically, risking an environmental casualty here, because these are oil-carrying ships, some of them. And if the oil spills into the Gulf, goodness gracious, can you imagine the cleanup from that? So I don't think the situation is clear yet, Adira. It's improving, but let's see how this goes.
There's also, even just this morning, heightened tension here in Israel with Lebanon. You've got Israel's national security minister saying the ceasefire in Lebanon, quote, cannot hold. That comment coming a couple minutes after Lebanese state media reported that Israel's been dropping flyers in a southern Lebanese town, telling people to leave the area. This is apparently the first time this has happened since the ceasefire. So tensions definitely on watch here in Lebanon and Syria in particular as well. Apparently also, we talked about that trade deficit widening. I just want to go over that again. That came in at negative 105.8 billion for trade. That was way worse than the 85 billion expected. So that is going to be on watch as well, as we send you back over to Joe and Neil.
For now, nothing too crazy. But if you gotta remember, like yesterday, the USO was just this, forever bid all day long. And it's like it wasn't the reason why things were weak, but it certainly didn't help things at all. Yeah, none of the 830 numbers really moving around the SPY. So I don't want to call it like a nothing burger. I guess we'll get Michigan at 10, and we'll see how that We'll see how that one ends up working out. But I don't know if I'm that keen on the oil names. I know yesterday when we had this uptrend, I was looking at that battle stock and thinking, okay, well, if it keeps going, like that could be a bit of a fade. But there's just not a lot of action here. You're right back down. This feels very much, it's just in the midst of an unwind. And like you had that nice little hiccup yesterday. But when we talk about a downtrend, some people, I think we overrate moves like this in anything that has, it doesn't matter, anything that has a downtrend. You'll overrate bounces like that because they look really good on your 3-minute chart or your 5-minute chart or whatever it is that you're looking at. And maybe you get a headline with it that makes you think like, oh no, attack here and all rhetoric there. But we don't break anything significant. You go right into the most obvious level and start turning, and then you're right back down. So downtrend is a downtrend at this point. I think if you're looking at oil or energy, you got to keep it in that context. There are some places where there can be some interest. And there was a question. Someone just tagged me here. This is interesting because I can tie this in. Stoge M, did you make any new long-term purchases for your personal portfolio? If so, what names, if you can share? There's nothing that I haven't told you guys about because like I got into so I plan on owning SpaceX for like a full position in my long-term portfolio. I'm in like 7% of what I want. I made that one purchase, that sink bid, and I'll get another tranche in probably in front of the 35 and be up to like 20%, and then I'll leave that alone till the end of the year before I consider buying any more. I've bought some AbbVie. I think I've mentioned that for a bit of like a rotation play. Yeah. But like in terms of like tech names, no.
I bought
But see, the reason I'm tying it in right now is that Chevron's back at the Venezuela high price. So like when in this pullback, remember when that was actually the story? And you had that big jump up in Chevron because they're the ones already operating there. So it's making a bit of a bounce off of that level, and it's at the 200-period moving average. So I was actually considering making this purchase today. I probably will, just to add to it. I've typically only ever bought this stock in the recently in the 140s. If you go back, put up like a monthly chart or weekly chart, you'll see the obvious reason why like the 140 area was really good. And that's generally where I've been buying it when it dips under 150. But I think I might like that 200-period moving average as well. I might put some of that into the, I already have it, just might add to it. Because for the things that I've trimmed, like 10% off of like an Intel or 20% off of like an ARM, I don't sell it all. Yeah. I want to look to some other places to be able to deploy that. So Chevron is actually one that here, I'd probably go ahead and pull the trigger on that. If not next week when I'm on vacation, I might do it at lunchtime today. Just get a tranche in.
Yeah, I'm sitting on like a little bit over 10% cash. I've been buying some Google currently right now. Sitting on more, actually, to be honest with you. Offloaded a bunch of Bitcoin in the 40s and in the 50s. Via that is. Sold some other things as well too. Oh yeah, Netflix. We got all out of that thing. I'm like, what's going on here? So we're sitting on a bit of cash. What I've been grabbing as of late is Google. Grabbed a little bit of that, nothing substantial whatsoever. TKO Holdings, and then I've been buying JPM via CDR, and then for some reason I'm just continuously buying NVDA, and it's funny because I talk bearish about the stock, but anyways, at the end of the day, I'm still buying it up, and I'm probably going to buy a little bit more here momentarily at 193, and then I have to buy some more probably at 180, and then at 170. So, Joe, with the white tea, living dangerously on beer and pizza day. Oh, okay, yeah. I see what you're saying. Hey, man, I'll tell you this for free. I thank you, Fuji. I'll tell you this for free. Your boy will not be drinking any beer. And if we do, it'll maybe be one slice of pizza, but I think that's going to be even a little bit of a stretch there because I got the carb police behind me. Sharif always like, "Yo, you eating that, man?"
The what?
The carb police, man. So I gotta watch out with what I eat around here. So no, I'm only messing around. But no, in all seriousness, guys, I think sitting on a little bit of cash is pretty good. I'm glad that I offloaded a lot of assets here. Netflix has been getting beaten to a pulp, unfortunately, which isn't very, very good. This guy loves it. I better tap in just in case we get ready for NOSPOS. But yeah, dumplings and stuff for breakfast, not too bad. We got Michael in the building this morning as well too. No Randy. He typically has Fridays off.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's usually off. But guys, I was talking about if you're looking for signs of strength, right? like NASA. This ETF just absolutely getting destroyed. Your boy bought it all the way up here at 40s, and then I actually just offloaded it at like 35 bucks. I'm like, what am I doing? I got to be a little bit more patient on this here. Nothing, nothing substantial. Anyways,
That's a good super chat.
is there a good super chat? We'll pull it up there. We'll get ready for that. There's DXYZ as well. I'm just getting destroyed.
Ooh.
Oh.
There's no reason to have owned once SpaceX was launched. The DXYZ didn't have a purpose, in my opinion. Rushi, as 26-year-old, nice and young. You're young, man. That's the thing is, it's so much easier when you have like pullbacks and whatever the market's or feels like doom and gloom. Better perspective when you're younger. I tend to mix up between my trader mindset and investor mindset. Is there any advice how to manage those, like short trade, Nvidia, don't sell? You know, so the crazy thing is, if I got to be as real as possible. When I started out, when I started trading in 2003, like I was a day trader, and also, you know, you have your own personal investment account. You know how I used to manage that? I would literally never talk about, when other traders would talk about like long-term stuff, whatever, I would just not speak about it. Dude, on the trading floor. I'm like, I'm not bringing it up. Keep it to myself. Something in my long-term goals. I'm not celebrating it. I'm not engaging in that discussion. I just kept it to day trading when I was on the trading floor. And the irony is, now obviously I don't do that anymore because we're on the show, and it's fine. But that actually trained me to, when I am in front of the screen as a trader, that is the only mindset I would have. And maybe that's not an easy thing to do. Like I would shut off the macro stuff and try to like tune that out. I would never bring up or sign into my long-term account while I was on the trading floor. I didn't. Probably the first time I ever did it was after this show when we'd talk about it more and be more open. But I trained myself for a very long time. Why didn't you tell me that an hour ago? I did tell you not to look, but I said don't call it up. No, but that's just the word for me. It's almost like it has to be two different parts of your brain, because that's exactly the problem. You might find yourself in I think right now momentum short Nvidia, like you're saying, but you don't want to panic sell it in your long term, and then you start overreacting. I can like that kind of a hard separation is what works for me, and then now I can do it without having that problem, because for like 18 years or whatever it was, that's just how I trained myself. And like all I can say is it worked. Like there were traders on the floor would constantly talk about it. There was one guy, and I won't name any names, if one of his holdings reported earnings and was down, oh, for the love of, it's like he'd be sitting there talking about the report. He's like, but they beat this, and look at the metrics. And then you know what would happen that day?
He lost his head.
Trust. He shut down averaging long into the stock as a day trade.
It doesn't matter, man.
Like clockwork for that.
Whatever you think about the fundamentals, it does not matter. They can have a fantastic report, NVDA, right? It doesn't matter. The stock's not going to do probably. It's not going to do what you want it to do. It's going to do what it wants to do. But in all honesty, I didn't even know about day trading until I was about 28, 29 years old. I knew about investing, but I didn't know you could be, because I was using TD, right? This is a completely different app. So I'm just like buying and selling on my phone in my early 20s. And then I'm like, okay, hold on. There must be a little bit more to this. And then that's when I started reading books and doing all my due diligence. And then sure enough, when I was about 28, 29 years old is when I actually started understanding day trading, which was, I mean, hey, you have a pretty broad horizon. Like 26, you're still young. Just separate the two, exactly what Neil said. You have your investment account, and there's no better time to start than now, in my opinion.
I'm assuming you have two separate accounts. Like the thing is, if you,
that's
my assumption.
Yeah.
If it's all in, like if you have one account that you have your long-term holdings in,
two totally different things.
And also
separate those.
That you're trading in.
Two totally different brokerages.
That's not easy.
Don't day trade your long-term account.
Because to me, that's a hard separation.
Yeah.
It's easy if you're trading prop, it's implicitly the case. But if you're, that's a different story. I don't know. You know what? The chat. I'd love to hear the chat's thoughts. If that's your situation, what would you do?
Yeah, Hamster. To be honest with you, I did, man. I was fortunate enough to be in a position where, I mean, the cost of living was significantly lower a decade ago in the city, and I was just in a good position where I could save quite a bit of money. And with that being said, I put it into the marijuana stocks, and I just happened to be in at the right place at the right time. I was lucky, and that kind of just gave me a nice buffer for a couple of years there. And then, I mean, obviously, you're young and you don't make obviously the best financial decisions. I'm not saying that I didn't or anything along those lines. We had some fun with it as well too. But yeah, I was fortunate. I was in that camp where I was in a position to have a separate account when I got a little bit older, have the long-term account as well too, and then have your day trading account. So yeah, I mean, save money, invest it in some high quality names. Avoid the speculation. Use different money, expendable money, at that, and save something. Like Neil said, man, don't look at on days like this. Don't look at your long term account.
Yeah, like if there's something actionable that, okay, there's this stock that I was planning on buying and it hit this price in the long term. Okay, that's one thing, but you know, if you do that now, you'll look at Micron. Literally, you'd be like, oh my goodness, look at this chart. Micron's at yesterday's lows after earnings and down 6%. Oh, I got to sell all of my mic. Like, you could get into that. You could get that kind of feeling. I don't know. Like the market actually did just take a bit of a dive to the downside. You might say, oh no, not again. Crypto to the lows. Nothing really happened in the last couple of minutes. Like we had the numbers at 8:30 and then we just sort of glided a little bit lower. But you can get that. You're going to get analysis paralysis, I think, in a situation where, you know, we want to be like, if you're there are two different types of brains, and in one you want to have a time horizon which is on the years. And speaking of time horizons, we've got one of our favorite guests not on the horizon right now. Michael Moss is in the building. We always have him on Mondays and Fridays, and good to see him again. So let's throw it up to there.
Welcome back, Michael Moss with Stats Edge. I'm really excited to get into this topic. I think it's a really interesting one. But let's start with, how are you doing, Michael? Happy Friday. How's your week been?
I've been doing fantastic. It's been a little choppy, but no, we'll take it. We were due. I think I was hearing in the green room them saying the same thing. It's like you can't have SanDisk going up 1,000% without a couple 20% pullbacks along the way.
And let's talk about one name that did pull back really sharply, not 20%, but AAPL. I understand you want to talk about yesterday's drop, and I think this is a really interesting topic.
Yeah, so this is one of those things that the research started in one place and kind of ended in another, and that's the most interesting thing of kind of what I do following the statistics behind it. I wanted to see, because I was actually very impressed yesterday with the sell-off we saw in Apple and Nvidia and some of these names, how well the market held up. And that's something I could talk about on Monday. It was very much showing that there was a lot of other kind of strength under the hood there. And I just wanted to see if there was any kind of prediction value in that when you have some of the largest names sell off and the market holds relatively steady, what ends up happening. So I can wrap that up quickly. I wasn't able to find anything, but it made me start to look a little bit closer into this Apple decline, because Apple's been around for a long time. So it means we can get a decent amount of data for what happens when Apple drops like this. And I'll talk about a trade I took based off of this data last night. So, this is just, first of all, this is the chart. If you were living under a rock, I guess, Apple dropped around 6% or so yesterday, just saying, hey, we got to raise prices on our computers and things like that because of AI. So I just went and looked at it and said, okay, let's first just take a look at what happens every time Apple declines 5%. What happens in the coming days after that? Is this a good buying opportunity or not? And this is often how I make what I call kind of semi-discretionary trades. I like the area that it's pulling back to on the chart. I like a lot of the technicals behind it, but I want to make sure there's some statistical advantage in what I'm doing. So I just went with the data I have and just tested what happens if it declines over 5% and you buy it, what happens later. So First of all, there's some statistics in the next slide here where we have a decent amount of data because I separated them out, and we'll talk about why I did that in a second, to times that it's done this above the 200-day moving average and times that it's done this below the 200-day moving average. And you can see, across both of them, it's like 300 or so times that this has happened. So, it's not a relatively kind of basic study. There's 300 inputs, I think, is enough to kind of hang your hat on and say, okay, there might be some statistics here as well. So 128 times above the 200-day moving average, 187 times below the 200-day moving average. The next chart is really where things start to get interesting here, this bar chart. So day one, so the green bar is what happens when the decline happens above the 200-day moving average. And then the orange line is what happens when the decline happens below the 200-day moving average. So you can see right off the bat, it's better to buy for 1 day, 1 week out if you get a 5% dip above the 200-day moving average. There seems to be roughly a 60% chance of some sort of snapback rally within that first kind of 1 day to 1 week time frame. However, if you start to look longer out, it ends up being completely different, where these sell-offs are almost, for at least for Apple, kind of warning signs, where if you look kind of 1 month out or even 1 year out, it is now, if you're above the 200-day moving average and you get these sell-offs, this is a longer-term warning signal for Apple, because there's kind of less than a 50-50 chance that it's up. And you got to imagine, if you pick a point in time in Apple and you just put your finger on that chart randomly, there's going to be a 60+% chance that you're up 3 months or a year later, right? Just because we know Apple has gone up over time. So trying to pull out that look ahead bias and just saying, hey, this is worse than average. And then the other side flips. If you're below the 200-day moving average and you have these sell-off, that first month or so is generally weak, but then later it ends up being kind of a washout. So some interesting data there on that as well. So next one, just taking a look, if we're looking at the short term, right, this is kind of 1 day after, again, around a 60% chance that we're green. Interesting, I'm looking down now and we're already up around 0.8%. And you can see there the median return after a 5% down move is like 0.8% up. And we are right now. And if we're below the moving average, then we actually move lower. But this pullback above the moving average is kind of interesting. And just to talk about the trade I took quickly, is I just bought some AAPU, I think it is, just a leverage version, just based off of this slide right here, the statistic. There's 60% chance that we're up tomorrow. So I look at it and I say, well, that's an interesting area. Let me take that little shot, knowing that I'll make around 1%, give or take, right? It's very small edges, but if I can stack enough of these together, it ends up being a pretty good year. So the next couple charts are just spaghetti charts. Again, I love these, where you have all of these lines that you're kind of seeing fade above and below, or every time you had this drop, what the path is. You can see strong for a week. You generally get a nice push up after that, and then actually pushes down if you're above the 200-day moving average. And this next chart is the opposite, in which it's no bounce right away. Just the next slide there. This is what happens below the 200-day moving average. There is no push up, and then later you end up getting a push up. So next down here, just really quickly. So sorry, one more down there. And yes, perfect. So if you're looking for a long-term signal, it seems like it is 70% of the time Apple is just up in a year time, but it's only a 54% chance it's going to be up after the sell-off that we had. So again, this is a warning shot. It's not, these are statistics, so anything can happen, but it's a warning shot when these things generally occur. So the next chart here is just kind of showing what just Apple does on average. And you can see on average, Apple kind of drifts up. And this what make it really significant to me that, again, 1 year out from the sell-off, the chart doesn't look like this. The chart is actually pointing down. So a 6% move in Apple is a pretty big one. So the last two slides is just kind of summarizing it up, is that short term, that sell-off that we had in Apple seems like there can be a playable bounce there for people who like to play that stock. Long term, however, that's a bit of a warning sign when this happens above the 200-day moving average, because a giant company like this generally doesn't move 6% in a single day, because if you think of the market cap move that was, you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap kind of gone in one day. So that's what I was looking at there. That kind of summarizes what I was overall studying there for Apple. So the game plan, like I mentioned, is when I did this, I was doing this last night right after the close, I just bought some Apple, knowing that I have a 60% chance of that one day up move. But based off what's going to happen kind of in the longer term, I'm very quickly going to get out of this trade. And it just leaves some room for thought. If one of the largest companies in the world now has this statistical chance of being down, I don't know, is that going to drag everything with us? We didn't see that yesterday, but just something to think about.
This is fantastic work, and thank you so much for going over that. And there is one thing that really stuck out to me that I want to ask you about, because I love this type of analysis. This was so fun to hear. So yeah, it's really interesting how, again, if it's below the 200 DMA, if it's generally beaten up, it does better longer term. But also, you did contextualize this. You have a lot of data points. This is a very well-established company. So I guess just for our viewers, and because I think it's a really interesting point, I guess what would be the difference between buying a stock like Apple below the DMA for the longer term versus a name that's gotten beat up significantly, like, I don't know, Nike, TDD, what are those type of names below that DMA as well? I guess just to kind of make that distinction, because obviously with Apple, there's a lot more data behind this. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot more data behind it. But one thing that we have to do when we're looking at statistics like this is really think about and make sure that in our head, we're pulling out the look ahead bias. And by that, I mean, we know that Apple's a strong company and it's close to all-time highs. And knowing that going into these statistics, you have to kind of take a look at that and pull all the statistics down a bit. That's why I did that baseline of like 60 to 70% chance that it's up anyway. So we're looking for kind of moves above and below that for that anytime you go 3 months to kind of 1 year out. But I think the major thing is just how big and important the company is. And this is, I guess, no offense to anyone who really likes Nike or owns some, but Nike could disappear tomorrow and most people's lives really wouldn't be that affected. When you're talking about a company as huge as Apple, if this thing draws down 20, 30, 40%, you have broad market ramifications for it. And that, I think, makes it a little bit more impactful to look at because it's involved in so many indices and things like that. So just a larger, more important company, I think you can do this kind of statistics with, whereas something like Nike, it could be done forever at this point, and it just really wouldn't affect too much.
Yeah, thank you so much for making the distinction. I think, again, as someone who tries to do like this type of research as well, it's always really important to know what's maybe statistically significant and what's not. So thank you once again for a very thought-provoking and fascinating and I think very revealing conversation here in AAPL. Where can the people find you if they want to learn even more?
Yeah, statsedgetrading.com is my website, and then Michael Noss CMT on all the socials.
Michael Noss, CMT, great social follow and great conversation here. You can catch Michael with us every Monday and Friday around 8:30 a.m. Hope you have a great weekend, Michael. Happy early Canada.
Have a good one. I'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week.
Fantastic stuff, as always, by Michael Noss. Make sure you guys join us bright and early Monday morning. He will be with us once again. All right, guys, speaking of one of the names, we're going to be taking a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. Nike at the top of our downgrade list, overweight to sector perform here by KeyBank. No specific price target on this one, guys, but the athleisure wear, the apparel brand, just continuously getting hit day after day. We're down 0.8% here this morning. Now we got the onsemi purchasing this company, guys, Synaptics. 3.4% to the top side, but going from a buy to a hold, no price target there, guys. Need him giving them the downgrade. Now we have Spire also getting the downgrade. JP Morgan going from an overweight to a neutral here, guys, with an $85 price target. That's actually up from $84. We're down just a little bit under 0.4%. Now, Trip.com also getting the downgrade, going from an outperform to a neutral with a $44 price target. We're down 0.3% there. Now, moving forward, let's take a look at some more positive things. Fuel cell, F cell here, guys, we're up 3.6%, going from a hold to a buy and a $24 price target. That's up from $16. Now, Barnes & Noble, Neo, 1.64%, going from a hold to a buy, $16 price target there, getting the nod by Needham. Qualcomm, once again, getting the okay here, buy to a hold with a $265 price target from DZ Bank. And then we also have Crocs, up 1.5% here, guys, going from a neutral to an overweight with a $150 price target. That's up substantially from $95. Piper Sandler giving them that nod. Let's send it back to Neil.
Thanks, Joe. I can't be the only one that noticed. Joe is now using the regular Nike logo on the upgrades and downgrades. Does that mean it is time for Nike to be bought? It doesn't. I just find it interesting because you had the one that was like bleeding all over itself, or or melting, I think was the better way to look at it. But that's just something fun. I don't know why Nike gets bagged on a lot for, I suppose, good reason. But more importantly, Qualcomm just had some good news recently, and it's been a pretty solidly performing stock. But you look at some of the patterns here on a Qualcomm, like it's been bouncing 190, but it's got like a head and shoulders look on it with that bottom 190 now threatening that it's going to get tested. This is probably more of a next week kind of deal, because just seeing, like, it's down 2.7% to get to 190 from here, you're going to have to be down 7.5%. It's just not, that's seemingly unlikely, not impossible, but seemingly unlikely that you'd get there and break down underneath. But if this loses 190, like that's pretty appealing at the 200 period moving average on Qualcomm. Very appealing at that 200 period moving average. So this loses 190 next week. Like that seems like a stink biddable price, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Because I like the old stink bid.
We have
in there.
We have a couple of super chats here, Nilo, that we're going to go through before we send back and go through our rundown here quick. Satyam Dixty 2215 got some equity in ADUR. How long should I hold? Well, ask yourself multiple questions. Where did you buy it? When did you buy it? And where are you looking to take some profit? Now, here's this specific name, right? This has been on a big-time run, actually. If you look at it, we're on a weekly chart right now. So you get 273% from last year, but just write out your game plan. Right? Like, okay, if it breaks the all-time high here, you're going to take some profit off. If it breaks the low at 13, you're going to look to take a little bit, reduce your exposure, maybe even buy a little bit more if you really like the stock. But this is a range that you can essentially gauge here and be like, hey, this is where I'm going to look to get some off, or maybe buy some more. And this is where I'm going to look to take some off here as well at the break of $18. But where you're in at, how much percentage gain have you had? Is it overweight in your portfolio? But you have a nice little range right here that you can play with. So maybe in the middle you want to take some off as well. So that, I mean, don't give yourself necessarily a timeline. Use the technicals, in my opinion, to just really gauge what you're going to do with that stock next. Hopefully that helps you. And then Muffins B2F with a $99 super chat has the weight there on the side. So anyway, see who's calling me here now. All right, sure, Mace. I don't know what this is, man. We'll see. We'll figure that out. But other than that, guys, let's set it over. We're gonna run through. There's another one to pull it up there, Assassino.
What we got here?
We did
get to this one.
We did this one. Yeah, that's all.
We shut it up, Rushi.
Pull up the Muffins one. They got the weight there. Yeah, Muffins.
What kind of muffin? I like the blueberry's pretty good.
I like carrot muffin.
Carrot muffin's good. Apple cinnamon muffins look good too. We had a super chat without a text. You can just shout out the name.
Yeah, Muffins, man.
Oh, straight up? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let us know what your favorite muffin is in the chat. I think you can't go wrong. Maybe not the healthiest pastry out there, if we're being real about it.
You want to be honest with you?
Tasty.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I had a muffin.
You don't really eat much fun food, do you? Like, you don't eat cookies.
No, I got Sharif's always watching.
You don't eat apple pie. You're threatening not to eat any pizza or have any beer when we literally got super chats for Friday pizza and beer. Is there anything else you want to let us know that you're just not going to be eating? I'm just having fun.
What's that? What's for lunch?
I don't know what lunch is, to be honest. I haven't looked
damn.
yet. No, it's 9. It's not, we're not doing what's lunch. It's 9 o'clock.
tell 'em.
At 9 o'clock, we have a half an hour to the open in a market that is down. We got to get to the
Please,
desk. We got to talk some futures, get into the free watch list. We can worry about lunch in like 2 hours or so. I have no.
I've never had
don't know what it is.
lemon meringue pie.
Cinnamon muffins, that'll
Never
work
had
too. Coffee cake, that'll work too.
I have an espresso here.
I could eat all of this stuff.
I
I'm
think
just
carrot muffin is the best muffin. I've never had anything outside of that, anyways.
No, banana
I tried
muffins.
like a blueberry. Never.
all right. We got to get back to the desk because
Yes,
my
over.
stomach is actually going to start growling.
Adam James, $2 super chat. SHPH. Joey, 500K.
I'll,
Float. Let's go. All right. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, my guy. We're going to be taking a look at it right now. Let's send it back over to the desk. It's now 9:03.
Carrot muffin.
Great.
Oh my God. All right, guys. 734 and a third is where we closed out yesterday on the SPY. We are already losing that level and then some, down 0.75%. Guys, we're below 730, and that is the level that we have been talking about as a key area of support for the last basically all week. And as you see here on the chart on the right, we have been defending that level quite staunchly. But by the same token, we've been rejecting 740 over and over. So that flat bottom break ended up giving out this morning. It held up yesterday, but it gave out this morning. So here's the deal. We're looking at this area low. This takes us back to June 10th when we sold out quite aggressively. The low there is 722.5. That is going to be our first level of, or second level of support. If we lose 725, of course, if we start trending back up, look for 730 Adair as resistance.
And always look at our Trader TV Live watch list because it is free. And it can come to your inbox directly every day the markets are open. How do you ask? Well, you have to subscribe. Again, free to do so. You can use that URL on the screen, but that's obviously, not easy to see. So you can just go into the link in the description of wherever you're watching this and grab that free watch list for insights, info, and everything you need to know to tackle the markets. At the top of said watch list today and at the top of our rundown, these memory names, including Micron, MU. Great look here, and I'll show a 15-minute to zoom out a bit. We had this awesome gap up for this earnings report. Closed decently here, but MU back at yesterday's intraday lows. Memory stocks absolutely in focus along with chips today, Sharif.
Adira, there is not one semi-stock, microchip, semi, whatever you want to call it, on my watch list, and it's quite exhaustive that it's green on the day. We are selling off quite aggressively, and we typically see this. These things sell off as a group. So why? Micron had fantastic earnings yesterday. Why are we reading through negativity? Because analysts are worried that AI infrastructure spending, as well as the broader tech demand, could get hurt as these margins continue to go up and up and up. We saw Apple raise prices yesterday, and we saw the precipitous decline in the stock price. We saw Microsoft in their Xbox division cite storage, cite RAM as, price pressures and constraints in supply as well. So I think that the market likes that these individual companies that are selling HBM and DRAM are making a lot of money, but they're reading through that this could have demand destruction as well as a slowdown in AI spending, Adair.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything in that chip and memory space in focus. Which ones are you guys looking at this morning?
DRAM.
Yeah.
I think for the trade after yesterday, I like the way it moved. Expressing one of the things that happened on DRAM, and I'll get there in a quick little second, is as this up move was being made in Micron here, DRAM was holding the line at a pretty key level. It was chopping up and down in Micron, but this found a key level at that 75 and then to 74.5 and was just nice into that price and pretty clean into VWAP multiple times off of that price. So that gives me a nice line in the sand if we get any kind of a pop. Now, obviously, the market's headed down here for now. So if I'm favoring the short side of the trade, which I said to you guys yesterday, if Micron can't hold on to, if you don't hold on to the first consolidated dip buy lows after that gap up on earnings, then it's like hunting for a bottom. So in the event that we cannot hold underneath here, I think you're hunting for a low. And even if you bounce, I want to play the range on that DRAM. So it'll be 73.5 on DRAM for me and 75 even. 73.5 is just the pre-market high, the prior low. The 75 is the spot where it was the long. I'm going to be trying to fade those levels. But the way that we're dropping now, I feel like it's going to be a very, very patient moment because it's a lot easier to say that when we're kind of cresting VWAP and a subtle move might be able to get you there. Now it looks entirely differently at some of these lows. From a higher time frame thought, though, on Micron, just remember, this has been bouncing. Forget about the 50 period for now. This has been bouncing on a pretty distinct trend line. So if we get down there today between 1050 and 1075, I'm not saying we would get there today, but hey, you throw these stuff out there just in case you can. That would be the area where it's been able to catch the bounce going all the way back to May. So I think you got to be cautious of that. If Micron loses the trend next week, that obviously is going to mean some pretty negative things given the quarter that they had, right? Like if this breaks down structurally on the chart after what was an absolutely blowout quarter, when you compare it to Nvidia a year ago, we were saying this yesterday, it would make this seem incredibly undervalued, maybe like 3 times undervalued. But that would be making a bunch of assumptions about things continuing as they are, which I don't think the market is as enthusiastic about. So I'm going to be shorting pops in DRAM today.
Fantastic numbers, obviously within Micron, $100 billion in RPOs. I mean, this stock went on an absolute parabolic run, but now you're down 7%. I think this is going to be, shortly, it's going to have a good time to buy it, a good opportunity to buy some of these names. We talk about DRAM as well, too. The majority of its holdings, Neil, are SK Hynix and Samsung. About 50% of the actual ETF is under those 2 names specifically. So here it is, 1,000%, guys, from September, almost a year ago. You can't really ask for much more. And if you do have some chances to take some off the table, trim, now would be probably a pretty good time. If you do get any form of a pullback to $800, I mean, I think you'd be really lucky at that point. That's a 35% pullback. But when you have the volatility in your average true range really start to expand, you can see the volumes really starting to increase as we continue to move higher and higher, right? What goes up must come down. I don't know if that's necessarily the case in some of these strong names, but I'm going to be looking around that. Where are we currently? We hit 20% a couple of days ago. So I think this is something reasonable where I would personally start dabbling in it. Neil, you also mentioned the CDR. Now we can get this name, and that's where I'm going to be looking at this. DRAM, if you don't mind, can I get a couple of, can I get the shorts for that as well, too?
The CDR?
Yeah, no, for DRAM.
Oh, yeah.
You have to get locates here for DRAM. But this is another thing, right? Like, as soon as this thing came to market, $25, 213% from April. Okay, so, I mean, if you were someone buying up in this area, you've been doing pretty good for yourself. Pullbacks are completely healthy. You want to see this, and it's unfortunate. The good times don't seem long enough, and then the bad times just seem worse when they come. That's just the narrative of the market. I think these are good buying opportunities. When I say, like I said it not too long ago, when in doubt, zoom out, and this is going to be a good opportunity. If we're going to bottleneck from a demand standpoint for the next year and a bit, 2 years potentially, then I like the opportunity to buy some of these names off the dip because I didn't get to participate how I would like to on the way up. I mean, I have some other chip names. I'm involved with Google. I'm involved with NVDA. So I have the tech exposure. But when this specific sector is moving, then I would like to participate in it as well. Could I be wrong and could I be buying somewhere around the top and it goes into a multi-year bear market? Maybe, potentially. But I told you guys on multiple occasions what my key metrics that I'm going to be looking at to see when things are going to start to cool down. But all right, good stuff, man. SpaceX in focus. Let's see. NASA, I was talking about that not too long ago. Let's see what the desk thinks.
SpaceX, I feel like always in focus as of late, but I think certainly worth talking about. You have a Starlink-related catalyst as SPCX tries to hold on to this 149.50 area. We are below that 150 price, Sharif.
Yeah, that concerns me very little here, at least in the long term. But this is very...
Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
This is a very, very interesting development here, guys, because Joseph and I have been talking about this on the midday show, I think, for the past possibly 6 months or so. Do these low Earth orbit satellite operators pose a threat, a direct threat, to the traditional incumbent telecom providers? I'm talking about AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, whoever, because this is exactly what SpaceX is gearing up for here. And they were doing it before they went public with the acquisition of EchoStar back in September of last year for $17 billion, 8.5 in cash, 8.5 in stock. So they bought the physical radio wave asset required to legally operate in the terrestrial mobile network, so on the ground. But it's not that easy, Adara. There's a lot more here than meets the eye. So just to look at the incumbents right now, let's take Verizon, let's take T-Mobile, let's take AT&T. Combined, they have 1,020 megahertz of radio spectrum. Just by comparison, SpaceX acquired about 65. So what does that mean? That means that they can't operate in an urban area. They can only operate in, remote areas outside. So what's their plan? How are they going to do this? They're just going to become a remote telecom company? No. What they want to do is they want to make contracts with these existing incumbents to route urban traffic through an existing carrier's physical towers via wholesale roaming agreements, and then seamlessly kind of transfer them to SpaceX's direct low Earth orbit satellites once they leave the urban area. So that's their move until they acquire more spectrum, which they'll probably do either through acquisitions or the bidding process in the government, just like the regular telecoms do. But this story is even a bit more deeper, because T-Mobile, for the last couple of years, has actually been helping SpaceX directly get the licensing requirements to put up the infrastructure, also that it can offer cell service through low Earth orbit satellites. But SpaceX is kind of betraying T-Mobile here. They're turning on them, and they're going to compete directly with them if this actually goes through. Very interesting story, Adara.
Are you guys interested in SpaceX today?
We are. And I think ultimately, in the long run, when Elon talks about the total addressable market and you see some of those numbers, you have to understand that they're building something, as she said, which can be huge. That being said, for now, a lot of the talk has been the valuation is stretched. Look, we're at 150, barely underneath it. There was a bounce earlier this week. It was on Tuesday. You had that great bounce off of the 150 level. You had a muted bounce the day after. All weakness going into it today. If this breaks the low, I'm going to take the shot. So we said we liked the bounce initially when it did, but underneath that price, there's the issue at 135. So I'm looking short. It was 147. 147 change was the actual low in here. So I'm going to look short if that breaks. All of that said, I'm also probably going to try to find myself in, if it doesn't immediately blast down to 147, like if it does a failed break of 150 here, like it tries to get back, sorry about these dark pool wicks, if it tries to get back above 150 and fails that, I might take a quick short to this local high into the 147. But I'm favoring the south side on SpaceX, and if we can't hold 150, to me that's just a sign that you're headed to the 135 level. We saw it with who yesterday, Cerebras, whatever the heck you're supposed to call it. It's the recent IPO that lost its bid and lost its way. And when it lost its issue price of 185, so it lost the issue price of 185, but when it lost the 200 support, it was dead. When it lost to 185, the 150 was just the open, but it's still a key price for SpaceX, and it's threatening losing that today.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we talk about the total addressable market, guys. I'm in SHPH right now. I got to get prepared to get out of this. When it popped up all the way up to $6.30, now it's starting to come back in a little bit. So that was just a little touch of that level. Sorry, I don't have it up on my screen or anything, but I got to get prepared to hop out. Total addressable market, a lot of that's coming from the data center play, right? They provide cloud provisions, Grok AI. Even though Starlink, I do believe has so much room to grow, only 10 to 17 million active users. They can definitely start to grab market share from some of these cell phone providers. Just because if you can get service anywhere on the planet for a flat fee, I think that's going to just be an absolute troublesome, especially even up here. If we can get some Starlink, I think a lot of people would jump ship and head over there, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. But as for America, that's the segment I believe within the name that has the most room to grow. As for like space exploration, I mean, we know how Elon is. I think he's a little optimistic on that for now, but I'm not completely ruling it out. Just be prepared that this name may take a little bit of time to get going, but I have the utmost confidence. I think it's a good time. It's unfortunate that it came to market at such maturity.
Exactly.
Yeah, $1 trillion. I mean, Ronnie B, your boy Ron Barron there is like, this thing could be like $23 trillion market cap, which I'm like, okay, in how long? You know what I mean? But listen, I like the objective. I like the forward look within it. We know that's how we are within Elon's world. You have to remain forward looking, even when it comes to Tesla, Cybercab, and Optimus. So SpaceX, it's going to get the nod from me, but this is a longer term hold, guys. Don't expect anything massive in the next year or so, in my opinion, that is.
And for On the Rail TV, yes. And for multiple reasons. Like the most obvious reason is when a big name comes to the public markets, then money goes into it, and that might diversify away from other space names. That's hurt Rocket Labs. That's hurt that NASA. The other thing is you get an exuberance high, where it's like the peak of exuberance is the big name coming to the market because they're capitalizing on all of that momentum. So that's another reason why you might get it. And then, it's and then there's an overall market euphoria kind of deal because we got SpaceX and of course OpenAI wants to, and maybe they'll pull theirs back, and that can cause a little bit of a topic. But absolutely, they're weighing on those stocks, and none of that's changed. Every time we get a question about Rocket Labs or one of the other space names, that's what we talk about is just how the trend has really reversed well before the IPO, but then it's been very clear since the IPO that they can't catch bid. Rocket Lab had a positive story today. They're red. It just hasn't been able to do much of anything. A name that has been getting crushed, but is actually up today is next, Palantir. Uh-oh.
Yeah, just seeing as well here, guys, UAE reportedly issuing phone alerts of potential missile threats. We also had Iran saying that they've established a line of communication between the U.S. and Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, which I guess is a positive sign. That was about half an hour ago, so be aware. Lots of headlines as far as the Middle East are concerned this morning. But PLTR actually looking relatively positive compared to a lot of weakness as of late in the stock series.
Yeah, at least a day of relief here, guys. Fresh 52-week lows down into 108 yesterday, continuing a brutal multi-day sell-off, which has erased 39% of the company's value year to date. Of course, is probably bumping up a little bit right now. Let's talk about this because the retail bulls, they'll pound the table about the last quarter. They love the 85% surge in revenue year over year. But institutional quantitative desks, they don't like that 97 times forward earnings multiple. So they want that to come down a little bit. So some food for thought there. But also let's talk about the usage-based consumption that's kind of changing a little bit of how companies absorb AI. So you got companies like Anthropic, OpenAI, others. They're saying, look, we can go into your legacy software and we can operate just as well as Palantir. The only thing is we're not going to charge you a flat monthly tariff. The more you use us, the more you pay. The less you use us, the less you pay. Some companies are opting for that model. Something to think about there. And then there's also the sovereignty of data. We've been talking a lot about this. It's a problem in this country and it's a problem in Europe as well. They're not happy with Canadian data being housed on Palantir servers, lest the US government require that from Palantir statutorily. So they want to protect their data, and you're seeing some sort of cancellations here, despite the fact that they did get a new deal with Zeta Global. And then Adara, $202 million in stock-based compensation in 1 month doesn't please investors vis-a-vis dilution.
And Michael Burry announced yesterday he covered half of his short position around that, between 107 and 108 area. So interesting look here for PLTR. Also, UAE now apparently sending alerts saying the situation is now safe. So looks like that's been addressed. How are you guys addressing Palantir today, though?
Unless it sees 100, I don't know that I'm going to trade it. It could end up being like a weird breakout. On a daily chart, on a monthly chart, there's nothing for a long time on Palantir to even start thinking about the bid. And on a weekly chart, it's a very similar thing. Like you're in the middle of nowhere till 100. That's also a level that Brian Shannon came out with an anchored prior key level. And if you again on the daily, it's a little bit more clear at the $100 level. There was a prior breakout there. I seriously doubt that we get there. The other way that this could end up playing out is simply, I don't mind not having something on the radar and then jumping to it because, hey, it's moving, it's relatively strong. The market is down, this is up, it's above, but it's chopping this prior resistance at 108.75. If this stock just simply breaks out 109 and ends up trying to form an upward pattern, then fine. I don't mind joining the long. But my first look is to look for some shorts today. So I don't know that this is the first place I'm going to be hunting at on PLTR. Yeah, so I'll probably stay away. But that 100 level is the next key level, but it gets pretty dicey if it doesn't hold that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes things really, really difficult. The name that was hot for so long. I mean, $23 all the way up to $209, 800% just like that. And I mean, I remember trading this name in the teens back in like 22 and 23, where it's like $8, $9, $13. You just grab exponential growth within this underlying, and then sure enough, now you're getting on the flip side of things. Now, obviously, it took some time for this to get rolling right to the downside, but it's looking pretty ugly if you ask me. $100 maybe here for Palantir. I mean, I've never owned the stock. I don't plan on owning the stock, to be honest with you. I like Alex Karp. I have no issue with him whatsoever. I mean, this guy's all about whatever he's about, offense.
Massive villains.
Yeah. Listen, I like the guy. I like what's happened within the company. But hey, man, it goes to what I was saying. Like, you can be the hot new toy, but then eventually the stock market will find something else, and people are just probably selling a lot of Palantir and putting into other things, right? So it's unfortunate the way it is. Hopefully, a lot of you trim some of your position, because a 53% pullback is not it's not fun to sit through, that's for sure. But it's not the first time we see it. It's not the last time we're going to see it either. So get prepared, man. If you go on some big time runs, don't get greedy and ring that register, as you would like to say there, Neil. I mean, I talk about the story of my one buddy quite often, who's just been on this roller coaster ride, and you have everyone within our financial group just talking to him, saying, "Hey, man, ring it," and he's like, "No, we're going down with the ship," as some would like to say, or we're gonna send it off to the moon. So, to each their own. Just be prepared, man. If you make a decision and you go with it, just understand whether you ring that register or you decide to sell some or hold it. It is what it is, and you made the decision, so you're going to have to go through the consequences, whether it's good or bad. So.
Exactly. Yeah. A couple more to get to, but very, very quickly on the imbalances. 925 just hit. It's Friday. SpaceX is well, you just saw it. It was a 1 million buy for a split second and then instantly paired off. I bid 750,000 to the sell side. Now SpaceX is only 230,000. Microsoft, a small sell of 200,000. That would be the reason for the SpaceX going back up to 151 just now. On made an acquisition, a big one, but they're sliding heavily this morning.
ON with an acquisition announcement. It's still at pre-market lows, guys, continuing to drop, and even a downgrade to boot here. Does not look like analysts or traders are happy about this roughly $7 billion enterprise value acquisition.
You're absolutely right, Adara. $7 billion all stock, as Adara and Neil mentioned. And just so we can kind of iron things out, an all stock deal presents the acquiring shareholder with two main questions that they have to ask. Am I getting enough money for my shares of Synaptics with this 1.350 conversion that they're doing with ON? That's question number one. Question number two is my investment philosophy, my investment thesis, does it work with this combined entity? Do I want to be part of onsemi? I was in Synaptics. Now I'm going to be part of onsemi. Those are the two questions that the shareholders have to ask themselves. So sometimes it poses some problems. But let's talk about the 19% premium that Synaptics shareholders are getting, right? 1.350 shares of ON stock means Synaptics shareholders will instantly command 12% of the combined company. That makes them a fierce proxy right away as a shareholder base. And then they could, have a lot of activism. So by doing that, you're changing fundamentally the shareholder base. And that's always part and parcel of these acquisitions. Let's also talk about the true reason why this is being acquired. A lot of mainstream media wants to say IoT this, IoT that. That has nothing to do with IoT. It has everything to do with robotics. The true crown jewel here is this ultra secret robotic division, which has quietly scaled AI-enabled touch controllers for tactile sensing to over 35 global drone and humanoid OEMs. Good look there. And management, though, they'll project a deal. They'll like, oh, yeah, we're going to expand our TAM, our total addressable market, by $243 billion by 2030. What they don't say, though, is that the deal isn't expected to close until mid-27, and then it's going to take another 18 months, according to projections, could take longer, right, for it to actually turn into non-GAAP EPS accretive. So I think, a lot of people have rightfully concerns here, Darryl.
Yeah, just a couple minutes here until the opening bell, so let's talk crypto while we're here as well. Coinbase, I was just reading, currently down 69% from highs. Bitcoin, of course, really weak as well here. Sharif, do you think we hold on to this 58K level on BTC? Oh, you're muted.
We've been talking on this about this on the midday show a lot, guys. We are looking for a correction into the low 50s or high 30s, depending on whether we're going to go 80 or 70%. Those are the historical correction reversals for Bitcoin, Adair.
Crypto, ON, what are you guys looking at today in either of these? And good luck, everyone, at the opening bell.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from ON. Bit of a pop there in a few interesting names. We saw SpaceX already back at 152. Micron's getting back into the upside of the Nasdaq, trying to bounce here. But I want to short IBIT into the 34. Like the wick highs here, 33.8 into 34. Still relative weakness. You're underneath that 60,000 level, which to me means head to the 50. I'm going to leave it on IBIT because we only have like a minute to go. I'll leave it on this chart. But the trend is your friend until the end, when sometimes it bends. But until that happens, the one day that we were not looking short in this particular name was the day that it did this at the open. I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but if we just get one of those like traditional topping tail wicks at that pre-market high or close, then I'm going to look to the south side for them. But there is a nice bounce happening into the open here. Just to show you Micron, which is trying to get back now above the prior day lows, almost at the volume weighted average price. So I'll be looking at DRAM and probably IBIT first, alongside of SpaceX in that 150. It's above right now, so I probably have nothing going on SpaceX, but I want to short the pop if I get it into DRAM into the prior low, and IBIT sort of the same thing there.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, here it is. Adam James asking me about SHPH. We only got about 20 seconds here, guys. I was looking at AMD 512 break. You got it up to 519, so that's $8 just like this. Here's my two trades on SHPH. Took the losses on them. I'm not going to take any more stabs on this bad boy. 4, 3, brought to you by, who was that? Orogenics.
Orogenics, holla.
Brought to you by Orogenics here, ladies and gentlemen. This name can go. It can do whatever it wants. Unfortunately, obviously, here it goes. I mean, look at the, that's not even the tape for this name, but the tape is hella strong. This thing is going to continue to ride. There comes AMD right back in. I hope you print up on this bad boy, Adam, but there's zero chance I'm going to be trading it anymore here. Bang, just like that, just flushes. And I was pushing a little bit of size, maybe too much size here for bright and early in the morning. So we took two waxes, I would like to say. It was those were a face slapper, not in the good direction, that's for sure. So other than that, guys, what do we got? Everything to the downside. 192 here on NVDA. Not too good of a look, ladies and gentlemen, as this name continuously struggling here. Oh man, let's see what we got going on. Yeah, right. It's not a good look whatsoever. Come on, JP Morgan. That thing is holding up the good old account at this point. I mentioned we're probably going to see the 70s. We're probably going to see the 80s. I'm going to grab a little bit more. I don't want to DCA into an oblivion. Again, I have what's separate from my long-term account and what I've been recently buying, two totally different portfolios, and it hasn't been performing well whatsoever. $200 average. Yeah, AMD flushed to the downside. You didn't get anything on SpaceX?
No.
There it goes, kablamo. Or shablamo on this one.
What's the word again?
Shablamo.
I got shablamoed with the lack of fill on the break of SpaceX through 150. Okay, so there's also 147 would also be a low. Nibble, fill. Okay, I got picked.
You want coffee or anything?
I'll take one. Yeah, if you're good.
Yeah, we go do it.
Hey, man,
we don't got Randy around here.
I'm not saying no. So look, that fill through 150, it went all the way to 148 and a half. Are you kidding me? Okay, so it's like I said, I'm going to nibble in here with a bit of a chase at 49. I don't want this back through the 50 and a half because to me that's like it'll convince me that 150 is held. But I don't want to be adding until we get a close. If we get a closing bar under 150, I want to try to add to this if I get the opportunity to. The Nasdaq bounced, remember, off of this open here. So, just to give you a quick look, the Nasdaq is bouncing. So SpaceX might be going down here, but I'm looking over, like there's Micron like flying to the upside as we speak, and that takes DRAM, which is a name that I was looking for, a fade in. It's trying to get up to that pre-market high, that 73 and a half level. So yeah, while SpaceX is looking drastically different right now from the rest of the market, if we get this turbulence to the downside resolved with like a rebound day, like and never mind. And like the second I said it, there go the cues. right back into the lows. Thanks, Rob. I just told Joe just went for a coffee and Rob just came through with one. So now I feel kind of bad because I'm going to have a couple. So DRAM's the other name I'm looking for. 73.5 was that not just a pre-market high, but it's also the prior day low. So that's the reason I wanted to get into this. If it's just topping tail, I might try to take a shot here. That looks like a pretty solid reversal candle in DRAM. If I can pick it up underneath VWAP, I'm going to jump into that name as well. So a lot to watch. The market looking like we're going for another bit of a dip and another bit of a bleed. I'm in one, just trying to wait for something else to engage and give me a price I can get. Bitcoin's not really doing anything. Apple, for what it's worth, worst day in a while. It bounced off the low. So again, Apple's going to be able to hold on to some of these lows here. So Apple looking okay. Market, not so much. Not at all. You guys let me know what else you guys are watching. Seriously, Wendy's? If you guys are typing Wendy's in the chat, it better actually be moving. That's all I'm saying. Because Wendy's was the biggest distraction and disappointment yesterday, I want to say. I was incredibly disappointed with the trading in Wendy's, so I'm not going to throw that up just yet because the 150 is getting retested here on SpaceX. And if it holds through, I got to get out. I didn't really scalp this thing where you could have. Like, I easily could have scalped this one, and I decided not to scalp the trade. So I'm going to hang on to it. If it can regain 150, fantastic. But for now, it's starting to go. My bad, by the way, Joe.
For what?
I had asked Rob for a coffee.
Oh, and he got one for you?
And he already got me one. So
I see how
I mean, I could double fist, but that would just be a little bit intense. So that might get cold, brother.
Nothing wrong with a good old double fistery.
Well,
hey, man. It's
okay, no comment. I'll leave that one alone for now.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there it goes, man. I want to go over a couple of different names, to be honest with you. I mean, 2% to the downside, Google 1.3%, Microsoft 1.25 here, and I mean AMD down 5%. So we'll keep our eyes on this bad boy. We had QUCY on our radar here a little bit this morning. Doesn't seem to be doing what we want to. 10% to the downside in SanDisk. Ethereum, we're down 1.4%. So the crypto space getting hit again. MSTR to $80 here. Oh man, this is absolutely disastrous. I wonder what Michael Saylor's doing. Now, as for IBIT, you're down a third. Is it going to find any form of a bounce? Head over to the 5-minute time frame. Seems to be right now, but what we do have is consistent lower highs here. So you're going to have to be patient. Maybe wait for that trend line break, the retest of it, because with Bitcoin, I find it just takes a little bit of time for it to get the ball rolling. But I do like the look of AMD's jib. My issue here, Neil, is that it's just a steady downward slope within the volume weighted average price. Maybe DRAM will start to fill this gap. I think that would be a potential trade for me here. So we'll keep our eyes on it. But don't forget, guys, we were trading SHPH earlier this morning, and we got ran through the ringer on that bad boy. So
this market wants to bounce.
It does.
Yeah.
I believe that it's going to. You just have to be patient. I was looking at Take-Two because I was reading some things up on GTA 6 here. These guys already have 38 million pre-orders. So I don't even think you're going to get this game right out of the jump. You're going to have to be patient for it. But the stock not doing anything really, right? Like you head over to the daily and see what's going on there. Stock's not jumping, but like over $3 billion in pre-orders in GTA 6. That's crazy stuff if you ask me, Neil.
I don't know if it's crazy.
Dude, there's no game that's ever done that.
But the anticipation has been insane for it. Right? So, like, you've also have you ever waited this long for anything? No.
Yeah, I'm still waiting, to be honest with you.
Well, then that's sort of.
You don't know what I'm waiting for.
Okay, well, fine. Anyway, so look, SpaceX, unlike yesterday, like some of the first, like if you caught anything, like your first trade, if it was short yesterday, then 100% it won. Depending on what you trade, unless I guess you could have traded. I don't know, like what wouldn't have gone down at the open yesterday? Not much, but 0 for 1 on that SpaceX break. We're into DRAM. It's not the pre-market high, but it's a topping tail candle, which means respect the wick. If it makes a fresh high, get out of Dodge. Micron's still only putting in green candles, so not something that you want to fight forever, but it's only 7 minutes in here, so I do want to try to respect it. Like Micron at VWAP, looking like it's trying to pull back a little bit here. Oh my goodness.
AMD.
No way.
AMDL has a.
Well, that's not what I was actually going to.
Holy cow.
No, it's BlackBerry. It's still going. and still the undisputed heavyweight champion of, well, 4% isn't that much, but you take the wins where you can. Yesterday's earnings play that I think was maybe the surprise to be the big mover to the upside yesterday, because there wasn't much of anything, is going to be BlackBerry. Another fresh high in here today after their, I don't want to say like blowout earnings or anything like that, but they had a very, very strong trading day in the face of what was not Armageddon, but a rough day for the markets. I wanted to try to find a way to phrase it that wasn't so ridiculously bad. Like, because it was bad yesterday, but it wasn't doom and gloom in the markets. Like, Apple had a really bad day and the MAG had a really bad day, but when you looked at it in context, what the Qs did, it could have been a heck of a lot worse. Yeah. But good for BlackBerry. Congratulations to anyone that's trading that one. And oh yeah, I said I was going to look at Wendy's, and hopefully you guys didn't trick me. Today it goes.
Wendy's? Yeah, that's how it goes, man.
What's hilarious about this is, like, I was looking for a reason to go long this, and thankfully didn't yesterday in the morning, but it ended up just taking up a chart and wasting my time. Today, all you had to do was close your eyes, punch long, and you can get about 50 Baconators right now if you're into that sort of thing. I mean, if you're not, like Joe, because Joe doesn't like good food.
No, I like bacon. I usually get the deluxe, to be honest with you.
Hey,
I need all the fixings.
Is it a burger?
Yeah.
Does it have bacon on it?
For sure.
Then that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all. I like all making my own style. Man, it's been a rinse fest here for the boy this morning. Not good. We're gonna have to slow things down. I mean, we take the 2 losses on that small cap. No, I like sourdough bread. That's my go-to. Every Saturday and Sunday morning, I have a turkey bacon and egg sandwich. That's my stuff. I like turkey bacon.
Sourdough.
Yeah, sourdough. Sourdough for the win, for sure. AMDL.
We talk about too much food right now.
Yeah, I know. We got a lot of food going on here, Neil. Man, it's going to be a long day here over in Joelandia at this point. Just absolute rinse city. $20 or 20 cent spread. When I was entering AMDL here, and I'm like, oh no, bang, I had to get out of this one. So it's been a rough start, man. We're going to have to be extremely precise and see if we can find some momentum, because starting right out of the gate, over is never that much fun. So a little bit tougher of a look, but there's no doubt in my mind, if we get a couple of wins under our belt, we can battle back without any question. But it's not been good here. Lost there. And I just been like, hey man, it's Friday. Let's see if we can find something here and cap the week off with a good one. But it's been
Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday.
You ain't got no job.
It's Saturday. Oh damn.
You ain't got no money.
Yeah.
You ain't got ish to do.
Man,
If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, Friday.
The movie.
Yeah, Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just making.
Yeah.
I don't make the assumption that everyone gets my old ass references.
Yeah,
so
that was good stuff.
I'm just making sure.
I am getting shablamoed here today, man. So we're gonna have to slow our rocker down.
SpaceX is still going, because SpaceX shablamoed the short early and is still shablamoing the short even more. DRAM is catching a bit of a bid for what it's. Well, I might have lied. A second ago.
Getting rinsed, man.
A second ago, you know what? Maybe I think I had like a stuck quote or something. I'd swear a second ago I saw this trading above 72, but I think I just maybe had some bad quotes. Now this is still near the lows and heading toward the low of the day. Whatever. I think that was literally just probably a bad quote when I was looking at one of my level 2s. Micron still looking relatively weak in here, and as I said, I will shout out to everybody that's like, Neil, we did tell you about Wendy's when it was lower. I believe you. I absolutely believe you. That's going to be a miss. We'll hit the bang for anyone that stuck with it and believed in this one. It's absolutely flying. In the face of a bit of a market pullback, nothing can seem to stop this squeeze name from taking off. Good for them. The other thing which is showing some strength, we show you guys the Nasdaq and the ES all the time, but one of the things I was pointing out yesterday was the Russell made a high in yesterday's trade. Well, it's trying to go again here today. So it was relatively strong yesterday and trying to show you some signs of going again here today. Again, I'm only in DRAM, and the other name that I thought I'd be getting off the open is starting to creep higher to look short, and that's going to be IBIT. It doesn't seem to have the momentum to get all the way up to 34, but there's a chance. So I'm going to let this one drift a little bit higher. It either pops into these pre-market tops for a fade, or I look for the short underneath VWAP. For now, it seems like it's headed higher, so patience is going to be the name of the game for me and IBIT. Bitcoin just seems relatively weak. Even if the market rebounds, at least I feel like that's a place that we can stick with the short thesis a little bit longer than most. So right now you're catching a bit of a bid in DRAM, but it's still not breaking that volume weighted average price. I might look to get another leg out at this low if we're not going to see the LOD, just in case it puts in that higher low, give myself a chance to be able to reload this trade as well.
Yeah, you know, Nylander for a pick. There goes AMD. I think I was going to take another stab, but this spread did start in time. Still 20 cents, man. A nice push through the volume-weighted average price on this bad boy, and then there you go, bang, off to the races it is on, oh well. I mean, hey, man, you got to stick with your risk measures. It's unfortunate. Should have waited for this pullback here. And then
now we're going.
Now you have it. Yeah, now you punch through VWAP. Same thing with the NVDA, Neil. That thing's starting to move a little bit here. I've got to take SHPH. That thing really broke down, Adam. I know that you mentioned that not too long ago, but let's see what NVDL is up to. Man, honestly, I didn't even know in the threes. Remember when I called? No, I don't remember when you called that Saturn is a dog. But there goes NVDA, a breakthrough 27.72. This has a 3-cent spread compared to what we're looking at 10-cent spread on AMDL. I thought it was a little bit more liquid than that. I don't remember when I was entering here that it being a 20-cent spread. So now starting to come back in a little bit here, guys. Can the overall market break through VWAP? I think that's going to be my next question. But again, just pushing it here, and it didn't go our way. So we always have to keep our risk measures in place. So you're not going to see as much activity from me, but I'm still going to be looking for things. Reduce the size. All it takes is a little win, and then your boy's right back in the game. And I'm always one win away. I
want to make a point about NVDL.
Go ahead, man.
Well, I think for anyone that's looking at it, remember it did that split, which these ETFs, they tend to do these splits. You don't freak out. It just trades at a new price, and you sort of move on. That's another reason. They are trading vehicles.
They're not investment vehicles.
They're not investment vehicles. They are trading vehicles. Decay will absolutely crush you if you think that you are going to hold those as investments. They're just trading vehicles. All right, with that last little pop-up, got to reload in DRAM there.
The pullbacks on them, you just get rinsed.
Oh,
it's
huge.
Double the amount. Right?
Exactly. You get destroyed.
Yeah, you get absolutely destroyed.
So again, for short-term trading vehicles, they can be absolutely fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you just want to get too wrapped up holding them. You can swing them for a little bit, but
that's the thing, right? Like if you're looking for a momentum-styled play, and like the stock is actually moving in the direction that you want it to, and it's moving pretty quick, yeah, they're good. But it's like, okay, I remember I was buying SOXL or something along those lines for a bit, and I held it for like a couple of weeks, and then after I just got out of it. That's what you have to do, to be honest with you, with some of these leverage-styled plays. Are you in Bitcoin? No, you're short.
No, I'm only, DRAM's the only, I had one quick one in SpaceX that lost, and then been reloading DRAM up here off these wick highs, so that's kind of holding forward. Now, obviously, look, I guess most of you will probably be looking at Micron, which is doing something similar, right? Like topping tails, blah, blah, 1150. I just like the way the DRAM was moving yesterday. So for myself, been shorting that high, looking for the pre-market low, then a hold. There's no super obvious levels in the midst of this gap until we get to like down here, like this high, I guess, resistance, 70. So that's a ways away. Like we'd have to break 71, get like $1.50 in the money. At that point, you're probably thinking about Micron breaking 1100. But that's the only trade I got on. Bitcoin's not really going far enough yet up to get me short, but I don't want to miss a chance at this. Once it breaks this trend line, I do want to jump in to the short on IBIT. So still proven otherwise, I'm still going to take my chances.
It's pretty strong here today.
There is a bounce happening, but anything that's holding that high, I'll stick with the original thesis. For now, that happens to be DRAM, and with IBIT, I'll just have to wait a bit. One of the things that you can be looking at, and I see a lot of people in the chat mentioning this, so true, there's an exorbitant amount of strength elsewhere. Like the IGV is getting buoyed by, guess? Oh, well, there's a CDR for Microsoft, which I just pulled up accidentally. No, Microsoft.
Definitely always.
2.5%, blasting higher. We already showed Palantir this morning was one of the few names that was going higher. So maybe a little rotation action. You can't call it rotation today because the market's actually holding well. It's not like it's selling off and IGV's going higher, but the software names are getting a bit of a bounce.
Yeah.
So it would be like alert to ServiceNow, maybe alert to the cybersecurity names. as well if you happen to be paying attention. But they're certainly leading this charge this morning.
Yeah, JPM back in the red, guys. Some of these banks getting hit pretty heavy, but out of all of them, you have actually this name holding up the best, right? Like you have Citibank down 2%. My boy Jesse here, he's got some Visa and MasterCard rolling with that. But Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley over here down 3% respectively. So almost 4% there on Goldman Sachs. So I mean, a little bit tough, bro. But look, how's our friend Walmart? We're up 1 1/3 here in Walmart. We like that. Someone was mentioning UNH this morning. This thing's going parabolic at this point, Neil. And then we also got 5% on HIMS as well. So some big time moves in some of these other names. So there is signs of strength. You're always, as our friend Jim Cramer would like to say, there's a bull market somewhere. You just got to find it. But look at all this. Look at the chips here. Look at the memory storage. Just absolutely the red wedding here. I mean, it's unfortunate. 3% in Palantir, IBM. Nothing to really get overly worried about, man. There's some small pullbacks. Robinhood, what was Robinhood up to before we sent it back?
What the heck?
1.3% on Robinhood. What happened? DRAM?
No, I didn't. No. I just didn't realize that even like Robinhood's making that move. I just assumed because Bitcoin wasn't doing that much.
Positive note from BTIG, I believe, but I just saw this in passing. But I know there was some kind of positive analyst note here on Robinhood that I watched.
Okay, that'll play. I'm not saying to bring the register on it, but like,
nice short on DRAM though, man.
I missed another reload. It doesn't look like I missed a reload, but I did miss a potential reload because it did this like fail at VWAP. So instead of shorting the wick highs, there was this fail underneath VWAP that it should have been a VWAP short to add back into it. Well, hang on, but I'm now starting to think, okay, I don't care what's going on in Robinhood. You're starting to slow down here in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right. Like You're putting in a bit of a topping tail. This is about to break the trend, so I want to be short this as well. The market's headed back to the lows. You don't want to miss the shot either. So once this breaks the trend in a couple of seconds, or maybe the next minute or so, I'm going to go fade over there. I see people saying Webull is moving as well.
Webull.
If Robinhood's strong, I can expect Webull to be as. And I saw in the chat someone was asking about the chart. I use a 3-minute. So if you're seeing me on the lowest time frame where usually I'll be executing, it's going to be the 3-minute, and I'll slide over to a daily chart, and then if I slide over again, this is a 15-minute. I'll usually use the 15 for levels and short-term trend, the daily chart when we're going higher level, and then longer trends, obviously.
Yeah.
But this is the 3-minute chart that I use, and there's no. I'll be real with you. Like it's just what I ended up comfortable with. I've used 1 minute, I've used 5-minute, I settled at 3. That's just what I happen to like. So you use what works for you. I don't think there's a perfect answer to what time frame chart you should use to day trading. If you have a certain time frame and you have a certain indicator that you like and you make money with it, then knock yourself out, man. If you're like, this idiot uses a 3-minute chart when the 5 is better, fair. Like it's just what works for me. So.
Dude, honestly, to each their own. Like whatever works, right?
Yeah.
Whatever tickles your fancy. It doesn't matter how it gets done, as long as the job gets done.
Exactly.
Right? Like it's truly. We're long some NVDA here, guys. Nothing to write home about, to be honest with you. What do we got? 9 cents at this point. Let's see if we can continue to move. Hopefully, this name finds some form of a recovery. But again, just because I have to be extremely more risk adverse at this point, I can't put on any amount of the size that I would like to for that nice little 15-cent pop in this bad boy. So we'll take it for what it is, to be honest. So I'm not going to complain about it whatsoever. It just gives you more and more breathing room as we're finally starting to recover. But on the bigger picture of things, on the bigger picture of things, it's nothing. It's nothing, to be honest with you, Neil. So let's hold on to it for a little bit longer. We'll mark out some levels. I think the 194 marker is a pretty good target here within NVDA. With that being said, let's head over to our options chain and see what we got going on over there, guys. If there's anything at 195 that we need to keep an eye out on from an open interest standpoint that expired today, nothing that I'm seeing There is a slight concentration, though, ladies and gentlemen, around 195 and 197.5. You can see the open interest really start to pick up a little bit here, but the size is really at 200. And we've gone over this on multiple occasions. Like, look at all of the short interest, right? Like, it's like, okay, Joe, how do you know that this is like all short contracts? There's somebody on the opposite side who want these contracts to expire. And we've seen this time and time again. When you just have this massive amount of OI and there's no real demand to drive this stock any higher, then it can give you a little bit of trouble. And just like that, you climb for a couple of minutes, it's now evaporated in the span of 30 seconds. So there is some downward pressure within this name. It showed through the options chain. So if we can't break 194, then maybe we're going to have to go find some staples or something that's a little bit stronger. But I have no issues with getting out. I'm pretty extended from the volume weighted average price, guys. You know my style. I like to get everything as close to VWAP as possible. So let's see if we can get this break, Neil. AMD might curl over turtle shell, but Bitcoin's still moving there.
Bitcoin is still going higher, which is weird. SpaceX just lost 150 again, so back into it. There's 150, there's 147 is the actual, I hate to use the term all-time low, but it is the all-time low. So you could call it the local bottom. I'll just keep calling it the all-time low. It's just above 147. I still like that break. I'll try to grab it if I can, but I want to short into VWAP first. So I'm going to short this one back into the volume-weighted average price. I tried getting rid of those dark pools, but some of those late reported prints are just going to have to stick around. I know it's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Some of the other places where we have not been paying as much attention, I know we talk about SpaceX. For what it's worth, some strength over here in Tesla. Tesla's catching a nice little bid. Well, it's not down as much as it was earlier. I don't want to say it's doing anything too crazy to the upside, but when you kind of compare it to what's going on with the market, this is the cues this morning. It's a Friday, so that means option expiration, sometimes a little bit of chop. Well, the cues are all chop so far. Like, you don't have a distinct direction. No. You've got higher lows and you've got lower highs, so you're forming a wedge pattern for a potential break. So you could almost be poised. You could be set up in either direction at this point, right? So if I come in thinking short, I'm going to be short while the market looks like this. And if we break down, great. And if it breaks trend to the upside, you kind of know you're just going to be out. But the risk reward kind of favors you being a little bit patient with the position. But it's just so much chop early.
Yeah, a lot of chop here. You're right, Neil. A lot of sideways price action. But for some reason, I'm getting the hunch that we might get a little bit of a break here, right? If there's the demand.
Trying to.
But the issue is that it could fail extremely hard, and then you have that wedge style where you didn't get the break up. It actually just breaks down. So let's see, man. I mentioned that the volume-weighted average price is downward sloping. That's something to keep an eye out on. AMD is looking like it might turn over, to be honest with you guys. Let's see if we get that breach. 28.20 is where I'm going to look to take a little bit of profit here if we're fortunate enough to get that marker. But not a horrible look, right? Like, if you can catch the lower end of the range, which the actual the ETF is giving you, post up in the just below, you're at the lower, but there's consistent higher lows. So if this breaks up, well, what are the big participants doing? And I mention that all the time, is that if you're looking to trade the Nasdaq or the SPY, you got to look at the heaviestly weighted sectors. Right? So let's head over to our 5-minute time frame and see how everybody's been performing at the top of our list. Neil mentioning that Tesla's strong today. We'll take a look at that. We're in this, so we don't need Google. Google to the downside and the Nasdaq holding up like this. That's not horrible. Apple starting to find somewhat of a recovery. You heard Michael Noss talking about it this morning. SpaceX down 2%. But Neil, we cracked that opening price. I know we have before, but I think this is just the momentum that is going to be continued to the downside. That's why we're posted up at 125 on this bad boy. Can't wait for the earnings report, as I said on multiple occasions. But what can really drive the Nasdaq higher is Microsoft near the high of the days. Or who? Amazon.
Micron just broke that.
There you go.
Broke that high. So for myself, I didn't even wait for my stop to hit. I just had Micron up and just punched out the flat when I saw Micron breaking the high. That's the thing about trading DRAM, which I like, is that if I hold my stop, I'm losing an extra 30 cents, or I can just look at what Micron is doing and know that that's leading the way and just be able to get out of the trade a little bit earlier.
Go
so
NVDA.
At least that helps us save a little bit on Micron. IBIT is absolutely flashing. Okay, IBIT just got to 34. That's the level. The market's making this bounce. It's doing its thing.
Bouncing.
So as long as that's going to be the case, I don't want Blue Ocean. Oh, goodness. Every time Blue Ocean's, there it is. Every time Blue Ocean's
the first thing. Why don't you want to trade Blue Ocean, Neil?
No, it's just that it's the first thing on the drop down.
I know.
So if I type in a stock and then hit enter, it's the first thing that comes up. But we're right at that 34. There've been big topping tails the last 3 times we've broken this price. It feels a little bit different right now. So it's going to have to be a trend break for me on BTC. And even we just keep busting that VWAP on SpaceX.
Keeps going, man.
Well.
See, when everybody's thinking a little bearish, the market just turns head.
That's what it does. Well, not yesterday.
Not yesterday.
Yesterday, the shorts were fine.
No, but you would think, like, I don't know how you feel about this personally, but for me, logically, I'm like, okay, market gets wrecked yesterday. Maybe we'll find some form of a continuation today. Yeah, nope. Boop. Up to the downside. That's how I would think it, right? But that's not necessarily the case. So some of these names have been getting pretty beat up. I mentioned
overnight highs are 200 points away.
Who is?
Overnight highs are still 200 points away.
In
the Qs.
Oh, yeah.
When I say, usually if I say that, I'm just talking about
the Nasdaq there. Nasdaq. So MSTR positive. Yeah, Bitcoin's strong, man. 33.97. Bigger picture. So DRAM did break through though, Neil. It broke up here, broke through the volume weighted average price. I should have took some off at 28.20. That was where I was posted up at, looking for a little bit more. Trying to keep this runner. It's just unfortunate. Once again, I said we had a lot of size on our earlier ones. I only have about 20% on this position. So we'll try to hold it for as long as we can here on Nvidia.
So it's only 2 stocks for me, but it's the same. I'm basically only taking the same shot in SpaceX. I want to short 150 every single time, and I want to try to give it just above that volume weighted average price, because to me, like, this is that one. Again, SpaceX, for most people, it's probably your best stock this month. I don't want to speak for everybody that's a day trader, but like around here, I'm sure it is. So this is one that I want to give every chance. But DRAM had to come out when you saw what happened to Micron, and now you're absolutely blasting. All of that said, we're only now at the prior day low. That was the original level that I was looking for the short off of. But it's built differently here. So because I was already in that short and it already worked out as well as it possibly could, it's not like I could have gotten any more out of it. I don't want to rush back in. Just because I liked it at that price doesn't mean sit on the offer when things look different, because it's very, very different when you get up here. Like, look at Micron now as we get into this level. Much stronger than you would have expected. We do have happening now and Michigan consumer sentiment. So let's go to the desk with Adara.
At this point now, we're just at any moment getting that University of Michigan consumer sentiment print. That's coming in here, guys, at 49.5. So a little bit below the estimate of 50, but above the prior print of 48.9. Now the 5-year and 1-year inflation expectations dead in line with estimates, 3.3% here for the 5-year inflation print. We were expecting here 3.3%, 1-year inflation final 4.6% versus estimates of, you guessed it, 4.6%. So again, slightly lower than expected University of Michigan consumer sentiment print, but in line inflation estimates, and that market just continues to edge higher. It's the final session of the trading week. Really rough and tumble week here for both the Nasdaq and the SPY, gapping up, then gapping down on a variety of catalysts. Of course, in focus this week included Micron with its earnings report, by far the biggest earnings name of this week here. Massive blowout earnings report, as we described. Initially giving up some of that move today, but trying to come right back here. That AI rally absolutely in focus. SanDisk, another one moving in a volatile way in that space. But let's also talk about some of these beat up tech names that are trying to get a little bit of a bounce today. Palantir did gap up. Really weak last couple sessions for them, but currently trading here around that 112 area, near intercession highs. Oracle, another thing that's been beaten up as of late, bounced off the open. Actually looks like it's pulled back a bit, unfortunately, here as well for ORCL. But keep an eye on some of these beat up tech plays, maybe trying to get a little bit of a bounce today, as we've mentioned a couple times as well. Crypto, absolutely in focus here with Bitcoin hanging out around that 58, 59,000 level. Coinbase down 69% from its highs last I checked. Another one of these names trying to get a bounce today. We're going to bounce over to Neil and Joe, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content.
Adara and traders. There's an offer out there. Your broker's not giving it to you because we've got extremely active markets everywhere. And this is the kind of environment that's going to give you a big opportunity and big momentum. And look, if you want to take advantage of those conditions, you need a couple of things: discipline and access to capital. Trade the Pool is going to come in and give you that. Instead of being limited by the size of your account, you can access the firm's capital on executing your strategies and managing risk. You're not going to have fear of blowing up your personal account. You're not going to be moving your stop loss early because you're worried about your own savings. It's limited risk trading. That's what it's called. And if you want to take advantage of this volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, then visit tradethepool.com, scan the QR code out in front of you, and want to thank them for sponsoring this part of the show. We're going to go right back up to Adara.
I have to thank Gravel Culture and a couple other people in the chat for bringing this to my attention. Eli Lilly up significantly here. Volume on this pretty low. It is Eli Lilly. It's like 540,000 shares traded on the day, so keep that in mind. But Eli Lilly is going to be in focus today, getting this EMA CHMP positive opinion for one of their treatments. So that's going to be a treatment for chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Again, Eli Lilly opening here around that 128 or so, currently trading just shy of 1,200. Positive opinion from the EMA for one of its treatments. This came out earlier this morning. Back to you.
Underlay, mommy, Ia, uh-oh.
I don't even know what's happening now. It's not happening now.
If you know, you know. I know.
Maybe we should get Fabian to change the Happening Now song to that.
We should. Well, no, you can't. It's copyright stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
The world should be much more fun. Yeah. And then we would be able to do that.
You should tell FIFA that, Neil.
Man. Well, okay.
Now I understand why a lot of people don't like FIFA.
I just self-regulated right there because I almost said a bad word.
Speculators?
No, I just.
Yeah.
I'm trying to frame my thoughts for FIFA. I don't like FIFA. I don't like FIFA. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't have a better way to say it. I don't want to curse on the air. So let's get back to trading for a quick little second.
What do you mean, bro?
34 on IBIT. This is where I like to look. This is a place, the topping tail, where I like to short, but this market is looking strong. It goes right into.
Oh, look at D-rate.
Look at this pre-market resistance here, and it's immediately catching a bounce. So that's some strength in IBIT. We're not really getting that big follow through. I might take one shot. If you get a lower high that looks good, I might reload it. But the way this market is going, I don't want to fight that too hard. Like, you take what you can get and don't be upset. But this is not one. Yeah, like, I don't want to go down with the ship. Does not work well when you're short.
Down with the ship. When has down with the ship ever worked?
No. I'm just talking about it as an analogy. Like, it's to the reason why I'm not going to be aggressive and wanting to reload that one. It already gave a decent pullback. Like, I was able to get it to where you wanted. But the way this market is going, I don't think you want to fight it. And speaking of how it's going, like, are you kidding me? Thank goodness. Like, there's like Uno reverse card. On like the second I punched out a DRAM, it just went absolutely ham. You know what? I'll be real with you. Sometimes the best trade you make is getting out of a trade. It's not. It's like it could be like it could just be the trade that saves you. Because I came in looking short on DRAM. That was the name that I'm just going to be relentlessly like reloading it all morning and then holding it all day kind of deal. Which usually there's one of those. You stick with that, I mean, it's over. I'd be looking at the. I'd be doing this. That one, the standard one though, not the one where it changes the color of my skin. It slapped me so hard.
Yeah. Shablamo, man. All right.
You and this shablamo.
It's the chat. They keep saying it. I don't really.
No, they don't.
Yeah, man. They've been saying it all morning. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I would have dropped it yesterday, but it seems like everyone likes it. Drop it like a bad habit. All right, guys, here it is. NVDA, are you going to go? We were talking about this level, right? So we did take a little bit off here around that 194 mark, or that's going to be around that 2820 here on NVDL, but the market's just straight up and to the right now. So a couple of strong buy, and there it goes. It's continuing on that path. So a pretty good look. AMD finding its way as well. So some names that have been beaten up. We'll take a couple percentage points to the top end without any form of questioning here. Can we turn to positivity? We're still down 0.8%. Google down 0.5%. It's been lagging. If we decide to play catch up over here in this name, then it can definitely help drive the market a little bit higher. But I love Google all the way down here. I'll buy a little bit more at 15. Oh,
Huh?
brother, I bought some at 352. This is my green light to go around 338, to be honest with you. This downtrend is still fully intact, but we're going to grab a little bit more. And by all means, when I tell you that I'm buying stuff, guys, it's just like literally, and full disclosure, I don't even care to say it anyway. It's like 5 shares here, 5 shares there, 5 shares here, blah, blah, and so on and so forth, to the point where you get into the full position that you're looking to allocate within the specific name. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing until you build up to the amount of size that you actually want. And that's what I'm going to be doing right now in Google at $338. It touched 337. I was talking about some at 330. Now, I'm not going to get overly greedy and wait for that specific price, but why not get involved a little bit here? DRAM going absolutely bonkers here.
Look at Micron.
Yeah, Micron's going
about to
off
be
as
green.
well. I mean, when you're down, these names are going to get continuously bought up. This was down 6% at one point. Now you're only a couple of percentage points off of the all-time high once again. So a nice strong recovery here today within these memory names.
You need to have a different stock on this. Like, I like the key, but it needs to not
Why
be.
does it not be AMC anymore?
Well, I mean,
You should put Micron on that.
that goes without saying. It hasn't been AMC for a very long time, and it's going to continue to not be AMC for a very, very, very long time. No, I don't care. You could put Micron on that. You could put the Qs on. I don't. It doesn't even matter. Like, put Wendy's on it, for crying out loud. It's just not AMC. Like, what are we even doing here? It was fun at the time, but it's not even a meme stock. It's not a momentum stock. It's not a good performing stock. It's not. I don't even. Yeah, there's some good movies that are out, and I guess they're having a good start to the summer movie season. But that's the end of me talking about AMC. Micron back up to 12 hundo. Micron gonna go green today? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
What does everybody think? Let's put it. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. We'll go custom poll. Is MU, doesn't need to be all caps, I'm getting too aggressive, going green? Obviously, I don't care where it closes. Does it get to green today? Yes or no? Very binary and whatever. It doesn't need to be a capital.
Oh, Netflix.
So if you think Micron is going green and you're in the chat right now, then type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. If you think Micron is going green today and you are not in the chat, well, then get in the chat first. Hit the subscribe because it's a subs only chat. Get in the chat first. Water's warm. And then type your vote in here. Yesterday, almost every time we put one of these polls up, it's been like a 50-50 deal on Micron. Today, it ain't 50-50. It is almost 80% instantly thinking Micron is going green. That is a lot of exuberance. See, that just tells me that we really need to, that graphic, just replace AMC with MU on that thing. It would be good to go. Shout out to Max with the smiley face. You're probably long something in the chip space today. Thank you from TikTok there. I want to shout you out for sure. Christopher Mulligan. Is the Mag 7 still a thing? By name, yes. Barely up or down significantly on the year, but the Nasdaq is up over 15%. Yeah. There's still a thing. Absolutely. Sorry, just checking on the name that I'm in. It's putting a lower high. I might take a shot reloading. Market's blasting and IBIT's not going any higher. I might take a shot to reload this. But I do think you have to at least consider ball not lying here. Like, they exist by sheer size and what they mean to the market. Of course they do matter, but look at the MAGS chart. And we've all seen what the SPY or the Nasdaq look like in this particular moment. You've seen the IWM and the Russell literally yesterday make an all-time high. Yesterday, in the day of doom, where the MAGs were relenting. The shift, which makes, if you think about it from a theme standpoint, the shift is not about the hyperscalers. It is who is benefiting from their drunken sailor spending, right? So they got all this money that they're flashing around, like ha ha ha, and it's who's taking that money. Who's getting that money and who's able to have the rising margins because of it. That's where the money's going, and they're just taking the bleed out of it. And also tapping the debt markets recently with Google probably didn't help things either. So I think that's a little bit of a shift. Let's go up to there,
man.
Speaking of Mag 7s and hyperscalers, Microsoft in focus. Now, this stock is on watch here. Of course, they've backed OpenAI pretty heavily. And OpenAI, according to CNBC, not on an IPO timeline. They have yet to have an investor meeting begin. This does follow a report from New York Times last night suggesting the same thing. OpenAI probably not considering an IPO for sure this year. And that's at least partially attributed to the volatility in SpaceX. So either way here, MSFT to the upside, believe it or not, but OpenAI, again, a company they've backed pretty heavily, not on an IPO timeline quite yet. So we might have to wait till 27 for that debut.
All right,
if putting that poll in ends up being the high on Micron, feel free to throw tomatoes at me. My bad.
Yeah.
I don't have a dog in the fight right now. My bad.
You think that's the case? Hold on. I want to read this before we read that super chat, because Cheese in a Chair is my guy. He knows what's up already. We love Daniel. But listen, OpenAI scared to IPO. This is a hot take. Elon Musk going to short it with all his might. I don't know if he would do. Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah.
I don't think that's.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
I think it's less. Like, my reason for saying he won't, like, I think he is petty. I think we all know that. I think he maybe even say that himself. But he also was really mad when Bill Gates shorted his stock. And I'd like to think he's not a hypocrite. I'd like to think that. I don't really know for sure, but I'd like to think.
You never know. He could be irrational at times. But anyways, aside from them, Cheese in a Chair.
I don't think you should.
No, there's zero.
He's the majority owner in a public company that is a direct competitor, and he's going to openly short a competitor. Absolutely not. That's not happening.
But would you?
Of course, he's not going to.
The thing is,
what
though,
are we even talking
rule it
about?
out? I wouldn't.
I'm 100% ruling it out. No.
Are you sure?
He runs a direct. Runs a direct competitor. He's not jumping in with his money and shorting it. Absolutely not.
All right.
Even if he wanted to, that's not happening. No, and no. I'm just saying, it's not happening. Cheese in a Chair. I hate the fact that Netflix is a place to run when the market dumps. The market's not dumping right now. So you don't have to hate it today. Netflix is up 4.5%. I got a bad wick there, but this is we're not dumping. The Nasdaq's actually going higher. So you have one day, Cheese in a Chair. How's my investment in cheese dispensers going? Haven't heard anything about it in a while.
Public offer.
But no, it has been that way, and I get it. That's kind of sucked for Netflix. Maybe it's breaking this downtrend. One day does not break a downtrend even by a little bit, so I wouldn't necessarily think so. But it has been that sort of it's not an AI play kind of deal, so sometimes it's a little bit stronger when the Nasdaq is weak, but everything's going up today.
Yeah, everything is going up today, man. We'll take it. What isn't really?
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. $194, just acting like an absolute brick wall of defense here on Nvidia. We ran into that 2820 level on multiple occasions. So let's see if we can get this breakthrough, and then we're going to look to trim a little off. A nice recovery candle off that $28 bounce. So we like the look of that, Jib, for sure. PLTR, Lilly, we could take a look at that one for you anytime. CrowdStrike right back up to 694. This is looking pretty good if you ask me. So bang, there it goes, right? 694, and this looks like it might want to get going once again here. So I'm not going to complain about this whatsoever. We also had JPM tapping into all-time highs yesterday. You know I like this. And I seen somebody mention in the chat just, hey, I don't want to own too much tech. Where can I go? I'm like Staples, financials maybe. You can head into the healthcare via XLV if you don't want to own any specific names. There's so many opportunities. There's so many other places where you can just kind of hide out while the tech is starting to sell. Another strong day, well, I shouldn't say overly strong, but not a horrible day here, Neil, in the airlines once again. Is this an all-time high for Delta? It's pretty close. Oh, no, not quite. All-time high looking like it's going to be over here at $94 there in Delta Airlines. And then let's go through, like, there's RCLH, positive day again, some bullish price action here on the daily. So things aren't looking horrible across the board. Shout out to Airbnb. Are you staying in an Airbnb for your? Oh, you don't have to disclose that. That's fine. TKO. Let's see what else we got going on.
I can say no. I'm not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's.
No, actually, no. I've openly said even when we go our yearly trip down to a spring training in Florida. Yeah. We've done Verbo the last few years.
Verbo? Oh yeah, okay, more family style stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like more family.
And we used to only do Airbnb, but now that's
so you guys are
maybe
Verbo.
The last.
Is Verbo publicly
the last
traded?
3 years? I don't even know. I don't even know if they are.
No.
I believe they might be under an umbrella of a company that is, but don't quote me on that.
Okay, JPM.
Adara, if you say something, I always quote you on it.
TKO.
I have like blind faith in everything Adara says. Omen says JP Morgan. What about it?
What about it?
It's good.
Hot fire, man.
Banks win.
Yeah.
Banks go higher. Banks,
not VRB.
oh, it's down 1% today.
Ooh.
Well, you know what? If we're rotate, if tech is getting a bounce and the financials made the all-time high yesterday, or this one did, maybe you just get a little bit of side rotation back out of it. Some profit takers on JPM. I can see. Another one here.
Crazy.
Caught Meta.
I think we might have
Lunch 911. I feel like there's a theme here. I feel like we've seen this super chat from you every single day. Am I wrong about that? Like yesterday you were short Meta.
Oh, yeah.
Today long Meta.
Damn.
Well, congratulations. Maybe the next stop 555, because that's where it was before, not just a made up start to numbers back. You know you're old if back in the day, movies, they all had 555 in the numbers. They don't do that anymore. But like back in my day, that's what they were. Thank you for the super chat, Eli Lilly. That's a Canadian dollars. Eli Lilly and GDXU. Eli Lilly is a winner. Eli Lilly is amazing. We talked about this. We talked about some of the biopharma names as well. Check out AbbVie. That's breaking out the highs as well. Check out the XBI. That's going absolutely ham. Winning, and more winning there. Hey, Jensen, thank you for the super chat. We have a lot of super chats coming on here. Can you guys give your honest long-term opinion on Celsius? First of all, any opinion I give is going to be an honest one. And so I will honestly tell you, I don't have a strong opinion here.
Yeah.
Literally, I have not invested in it. I never have. I've never given it a long look. I really don't like stocks in deep downward trends until even from a trading perspective, you've got a little triple bottom, but where's the break of the 50-period moving average? And then I would throw to something that Brian Shannon taught me that saved me a lot of money. Downward sloping 200-period, even if it breaks out. Here at the 50, downward sloping 200 period, respect prior resistance, and he would say temper your expectations on moves to the upside, and that is save money. An example of that, and I'll give you an example, I believe, here's an example. Palantir holds support, Palantir breaks 50, Palantir downward sloping 200 could not hold the 200 period moving average. Let's go back. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, we'll get this one as well, but we got to go up to Adara for the small cap recap.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat. I see that here. Thank you very much to Zed, a lot of Zeds here. 124, asking for my long-term view in Bitcoin. Well, thank you very much for the super chat. Truthfully, I'm not super well versed on crypto. I don't want to lie and say that I am. I think I prefer to look at things in shorter bursts. So shorter term, I think we need to hold on to that 59K level. I think it'll probably take us, given the whole 4-year halving cycle, a little while potentially for us to get back there. So I would be patient for now. I was also seeing that both equities and crypto tend to dip right after we get a new Fed chair. So right now, I would say be patient. I apologize for not giving you a better answer to your super chat, but I do want to thank you for said super chat. We're going to get into the small cap recap. A couple caveats first. For one, I did look it up and I was correct. Verbo is owned by Expedia Group, which is a publicly traded company, EXPE. So yeah, I guess Verbo is adjacent to a public company. And the other thing I wanted to mention as well, PDD, apparently a massive breach. 310 million Temu user records are being claimed on a dark web website to have been breached. So there was not much of a move here in PDD to the downside, but I did want to make you guys aware. INLF, first one here, the company's called Inlift. This is a penny stock, guys, like 5 cents, so be aware. No brand new news from today, but a couple of weeks ago, they announced they're strategically entering the humanoid robotics market, and they do have a really small market cap here, guys. Be aware, $440,000 or so dollars is that market cap. RCT, Red Cloud, I believe this company, I remember seeing trading again in the past. I think this is a repeat offender, as we like to call it, small cap that's moved before. Red Cloud beginning deployment in India. They're activating their raid intelligence engine across their apparel and footwear data set. Last but not least, IVF is the name of the company. Invo Fertility, this is another name I know for a fact, has rallied in the past, acquiring HRCFG for $175,000 and gaining full control of an Alabama fertility clinic. Make sure to like. Make sure to subscribe. Send you back over to Neil.
Thank you very much, Dara. You know the market is strong when this is starting to feel like DRAM here, right? Like remember this morning, remember the good old days when the shorts in DRAM at VWAP were just printing back into the lows and you could reload all day long. when you didn't have gray hair in your head, when you could go outside and enjoy things without everyone looking at their phones. Well, it feels a little bit different now. The same thing when IBIT was holding that 34 level, and we'd get those pullbacks, and you'd reload, and you'd get the pullback right into the prior resistance level. And then all of a sudden the buys start to come in, and I'm now feeling the same way I did about the other short, which is, I don't know if I want to reload this one again. Either it's popping down into VWAP or it's not. And if you're wondering why I keep making that reference, it's because I think you can blame Darwin about this. Yeah, Darwin in here. It's Darwin. This is and I don't want you to all pile on. If you don't like the inside joke, then it doesn't really matter. If you get it, you get it. If you've been following the show for a long enough time. But Darwin reminded me. I was like, oh, I got to start doing that a bit more. So there it is. I've done it twice. I'll try not to do it in the next 25 minutes or so, and then I'll probably do it at noon, and then 2 or 3 times in the afternoon for you guys. But remember the good old days, Joe?
What, yesterday? When Wendy?
You weren't here for that?
What's that?
No, they started in
Remember
early
the good
May.
old days?
The first one would have been like the weekend after like May 2nd, May 3rd. So this would have been the first week of May. Joe didn't join the floor until a couple weeks after. He didn't join the show until September.
How can you remember everything? That is crazy.
No,
I'm not fact checking.
I don't even.
That's crazy, Adara. Yeah. I don't even know why I'm I'm not sure why I even get surprised at Adara's memory anymore, but I do. Like it's crazy. Like how can you possibly remember that so well? It's
what happens, man.
That would be so cool. I'm telling you, like
elaborate here on the good
high
old
school
days.
would have.
Where were you getting? Yeah, you're telling me.
No, it was just it was like probably like the most famous ad we ever had.
Which one was it? The Blue Chew?
Blue Chew, man.
Yeah, I remember. I was watching you guys saying Blue Chew.
Remember the good old days.
Yeah, this is see if
anyways,
my brain was that good. Yeah, you have no idea. You're telling me, man. I actually had to work.
That would be
study. I mean, so she does.
You still have to study. Yeah. You still got to put in work.
Absolutely.
No, man. First of all, Adara's like constantly reading, constantly hunting for news, constantly researching.
Came out wrong, but I wouldn't have to have worked as hard.
She puts in.
Yeah,
she
what's
puts
up,
in
Andre?
that work. What up? Say
Yeah,
what? Who now?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are. So, anyways, there was something else I was gonna get to. It was probably Micron, so we're just gonna go there. Micron, and an apology, because feel free to blame me for making that stupid poll about will Micron. Maybe if I end the poll, does it go back up? Is MU going green? So we made this poll, and when we made the poll, this was when Micron was. And now look at it. So I'm going to end the voting. 76% of those that voted on the poll believe Micron's going green. But now that I've ended the poll, does that mean Micron can resume going higher? It's still 2% down. It's still under the 1200 level. If you're thinking about key price levels, 1200 is an obvious one. Don't want sticky keys. Just really turn that off somehow. No, you don't want this to lose this 1200. Because then you have an inside move underneath the lower highs. And yeah, you could either just end up really choppy, or we could end up with a retrace of the low into the low of the day. But for now, Micron looking still strong.
All right, guys, you already know how it goes. Bright and early every morning, I get to see this individual here before the majority of us and working on the beautiful morning note. Quick reminder that Trader TV Live membership, get Sharif's daily morning research note. Every trading day, the big market stories, key levels, trade plans, catalysts, and what we're watching into the open. It's only $4.99 a month, and you also get members only videos, posts, custom emojis, and loyalty badges. Hit join below the video to become a member here today. Check it out, man. If you guys like fundamentals, technicals, the whole nine, if you want to see what's moving bright and early in the morning, it's already all done for you with the morning note. We definitely take a look at the majority of those names. You've seen us talking about them every day during the rundown. We go over it in the afternoon. So if you want to get a head start, and you know what we say, the early bird gets the worm here, ladies and gentlemen. So Sharif is here bright and early. He drops the note for you guys. So go and check it out. All right, Minnesota Trader. I had a classmate with photo memory. Yeah, I mean, some good stuff. A moment of silence for our fallen brother, Chris Onion. Yeah, what happened to Onion? Yeah, we should. I stopped receiving the morning email notifications from TVD. How do I fix that? Oh, the watch list? That's a good question. I'll get an answer for you, Brendo. Maybe if you can message me, do they need to sign back up or check the link, scan the link in the morning? So maybe go and see, as of 9 a.m. this morning, Hangry Wife, see what the description says. Maybe you can scan something or put your email into something and you can start receiving the rundown once again, or the morning watch list. So
Yeah,
Mr. Gray, what's going on? Neil,
Boo.
what kind of memory? Imagine Adair's argument with a raid against her signature. Oh, yeah. Bernard, we're just not going to continue on that one. A bigger talent, I got a memory like a goldfish, says Hamster.
Well, that's goldfish. That's bad, right? So
Well, it's not good.
yeah, I won't get into the.
Yeah, we're not going to. It's definitely lopsided.
Yeah, I would imagine it would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
entirely one-sided. You know what I'm saying? I don't win money of those with my wife, so
Well,
she has a pretty good number.
yeah, even if you're right, you're wrong. Should pit? Oh,
more or less.
nah.
Just
Go
speaking
ahead.
of, no, I think one of the things that we always talk about here. Ooh, let me hit send because I wanted to actually even tweet that out. Is you can have a thesis, you can have an idea, you can have a directional bias, but at the end of the day, like a trade is a trade. And just like with DRAM earlier, like IBIT, it went to my level, we took our short, we reloaded it, there wasn't the follow through, and now it's starting to look strong again. The best you can do sometimes is get out, move on to the next opportunity. I don't know where, it might still be here because technically we're holding out some higher lows, and I might find my way back into it. At least I feel a bit differently about it. Obviously, when I exited DRAM at that moment, I had zero intention of getting back in. Nothing about it looked good at the same price levels. It does look interesting now, but with IBIT, there is at least a chance that this same level can set up again with another topping tail and I jump in to the short. But for now, we got to be able to just take what you can get. Yesterday, obviously your early shorts yesterday would have been a different story, but if you can only get scalp trades, you can only get scalp trades. And as that goes higher, I've now seen Jonathan saying Mara. Look at MARA. I'm going to guess you're probably finding some better moves to the upside in adjacent places. Let's see. I mean, MSTR probably should be. Nope. Wow. The MSTR stinks.
Yeah, it does, man.
Okay, so
Doesn't
let's.
smell good.
Why is Mara so relatively strong?
Because it's not a Bitcoin miner anymore.
No, they've changed their tone. Same,
Yeah.
Riot's doing the same thing as well.
I shouldn't say anymore. I'm sure they're probably
No, I don't know
still
about
doing
anymore.
it, but yeah, exactly.
But why MSTR is the weak one. Whoops. And the first thing in the drop down is Toronto,
I think
apparently.
it'd be a leverage play here.
Yeah, that looks weaker. Can I short this?
What are you talking
Yes.
about?
And we even have locates on it too. That's interesting. And then someone says, forget about them, look at Circle. Well, look, you guys are typing. It was what was in the chat first. I could have gone to Circle, but it was Mara and Riot that everyone was putting in there. And then my brain was like first to, hey, well, if I'm trading IBIT, Neil, you should look at MSTR today. Maybe that looks better. But in context, gap fill on Circle, but much like anything else, we've talked about some of these trending down stocks. Yeah, this is all well and good, but if you ultimately don't break out from here, what does the stock accomplish today? A good long for day traders. Granted, congratulations, you got it.
Guys, I also just
But
so
not
you,
much more than that. That's all I'm saying. If you don't go any
look at
further, that hasn't broken the downtrend unless it closes higher from here.
Guys, just so you know, Hangry Wife was asking about the morning watch list. If you want it, I just reposted it in the chat as well too. Hangry Wife, I tagged you, so there's the link. Guys, go check out the link if you want to get the morning rundown. That's going to be Adara's note, not Sharif's. Don't forget that, okay? Two totally different things. This one's free. It's now. I posted it now, so go make sure you hit that link in the chat, guys, and sign up. So, pardon.
What?
Pinned? Oh, you pinned it. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So there it is, guys. The rundown is crazy good. Yes, exactly. It's all done by Adara, by both of them. The morning note. So if you want from two highly intelligent individuals, some morning Names to look over. Whoa. We don't do that, John Womack, around this neck of the woods. As a team, we don't do that stuff. Here it is, Trader TV Live. Jesse, if I don't see your name on the email list, you know what's gonna happen, bro. So it's that
snap.
simple. Yeah, exactly.
Joe's calling people out.
Down, man. Well, Jesse,
Does that mean like ban hammer?
And same with Blicky as well too. Lost players. But other than that, guys, we did get a tap up into 28.30. Guys, make sure you go and hit that link. It is now pinned in the chat. BM&R pre-market 12.95. It's been a little bit of a tougher look here in NVDA. I don't know why. So let's see if we had that nice consolidation. Maybe we can head back towards the top end of the range. We're still down 1% on the day. So let's see if we can get that pop back up. We did break through the pre-market highs. But other than that, man, if it comes back to break even, we're just going to get out.
All right, here we go. Chart Hustle. Love the name. I love the creative names in the chat. They're awesome. Semis look weak on the 4-hour chart, but MU popped on earnings. Is this real sector reversal or just a bounce inside of a downtrend? My bias has been pretty bearish, to be real. So it'll be hard for me not to say so. This is going to be the daily chart. I mean, you want a 4-hour chart. It's not going to be vastly different from what's going on in the daily from the highs. But you know what? Let's do it. I'm just going to pull up SMH on e-signal here. SMH and then 4 hours. Can I do a 4-hour? Are you hating on me when I do it that way? E-signal, no? I can't just do 4? I can't just do an hourly chart? Seriously. So I can just go 240. Bruh. Do I have to type the number?
Bruh.
All right, fine. Make me just type the number. It just makes me type 240. Like on this time frame, it's head and shoulders. It's breakdown underneath the 50-period moving average. So that to me means short for now, but it could, like if it breaks, I don't know, about 2 or 3 points up from here, that could end that trend. And the other thing to keep in mind is you said MU popped on earnings, but you know what? If we think about it for Micron, like, yeah, it popped on earnings, but what do we have? We've made the high, not broken it, hold the same low, and could be putting in a lower high. So even that could be like lower highs into a flat bottom after earnings. We've seen it ignore what happens in the first day before and trend down after the fact. So yeah, I still think when you look at it from that side of time frame, I'd still be thinking things look a little bit short in the space. So. But that's just me, and I think the memory names they can move on their own. You saw SMDK was absolutely ridiculous. So the SMH is a lot more than just those names. I did reload back into IBIT. Another topping tail through 34 means another entry and another shot for it to just fade back into VWAP. And Howard the Usher, BM&R pre-market at 12.95. First shot ever on it. Good luck. I don't like the Treasury plays they're solid momentum plays to get a little bit more extra juice into, like, instead of, you just play this maybe instead of ETH to get a bigger move. That makes sense to me.
At this point, you do, in my
But that's
opinion,
about it.
Right? At this point, you do.
But would you hold, would you hold this?
But I said I wouldn't buy would I hold it? I don't think so. I think more or less of a longer swing style trade, but what I would want to see is the actual asset class moving before I did. Because I think at this point, there's no point in me buying more Bitcoin at the point where it currently is right now. I would rather go the MSTR route, the leverage style, or the BM&R if I was going to get back into Ethereum.
Yeah, but that's a great long.
I wouldn't go the actual like ETHA or IBIT at this point.
Look at that reverse long. Did you get a trend? Did you get a trend break? It's who was the viewer that sent that just now? Let me get the name back. Shoot, it was Howard the Usher. Howard the Usher. Just you can type it in the chat. You don't have to send anything else. Was that because of this trend break, or was it because the bottoming tail breakout's like at 1290? You could have been doing that. That's a gorgeous looking entry price, for sure. That's the thing. Like, it's a great looking entry price. I think it's something that gets understated. Having a thesis of what direction something is going to go is nice, but actually, like, how and where you get into it, it means more in trading than anything else. Like, that's because whatever led you to that, it could have been the trend break, could have been the bottoming tail candle, great. Some people, it might be there's the prior low, so when it breaks and consolidates there, that can be an entry. You know, like that one might have the stop of the low. This one might have the stop under 13. They're basically the same kind of risk to reward. It's just one gives you the bottom. So, you know, great looking trade there. Both would be great trades. The VWAP one could be just as good. It's just, yeah, fantastic looking entry there. All right, we're about to get, I know this might go lower, but if it does, I'm trying to respect the strength today, and I'm just looking for that VWAP retracement here on IBIT. Like right now, it looks like it's trying to give it to me. I'm on the bid. It's not filling. All right, I was already sitting on the bid. I'm just going to move and try to take it right here. And just wrap this one up. Still going to look for the reloads on any more topping tails into 34, but hit me on the bid. Now, there it is. So we just got finally hit on the bid. So the long has really been, the long's been better on Bitcoin or anything in the crypto land, but at least for now, and I think we'll take some more shots at this, maybe underneath VWAP, continuation on any kind of a bounce, but it gave us what we were looking for, so we'll be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Market's starting to pull back in a little bit here, guys. Let's see if this VWAP hold. This is what I'm looking for. I mean, when you have this big time, I shouldn't say big time, but when you have a pretty strong move to the upside, and you get this pullback on lower volume, there might be some form of a continuation. You just need to be patient and wait for that entry point. We're all out of NVDA. We did get stopped out of our remaining 50% of the position at break even, but now I'm just looking for any form of indecision south of that specific indicator. Same thing with the Nasdaq. I have no issues with running the TQs here. Bitcoin's starting to come back in, AMD, so it's just really market wide where you're getting that curl over. It's just a matter to see if buyers are going to step back in, or it's just going to be like, hey, maybe the sellers start to step back in, or it's just a choppy Friday session, which, again, I have no issues with here. We'll finally mark up a little bit of a dub. You should have took some more off right there, but that shoulda, coulda, woulda. Apple, I know someone was mentioning this name. They say rounded bottom. I think we're already past that, right? Like if we head over to a higher time frame, we've broken it. So 15-minute, we can see it. I don't know what time frame you're referring to. Yeah, beautiful stuff. Yeah, very, very great call out. I like this quite a bit. You can see the base right there at 274. We talked about the potential floor levels as well too here via the options chain. We can pull that up, and they're starting to come into play. So that's not horrible whatsoever. There is a lot of size at 300. Let's not forget that. And we hit 299.77 before we started to sell off a little bit here. But look at the floor and the support system that's been established at 275 via open interest here on AAPL. That's a good indicator for us to, hey, is this going to be the bottom? And then you have a lengthy consolidation around those levels to the point where you say, hey, if I can grab around the lows, then maybe this could be a good opportunity for me to get into some longs on Apple. So whoever called that out, good stuff. Dude, it's not even the Mocha Joe, it's the coffee. It makes me burp all the time. So that's why, and then talking, I don't know why it does it. As soon as I start to talk, I always have to burp. So that's why I say, excuse me. If you want, I can not be polite and just do it out loud, which I don't think I'm going to, regardless of what it is. But yeah, nice call out whoever it was on Apple.
Oh, and with that, it is 10:40 already. Man, time's moving on. I see C is up at the desk, but we are going to go up to the desk to Adara because we got to take care of a little bit of business. It should be that sector watch. I wonder what is looking strong.
Man, you tripping.
I don't know. What? Who's tripping?
Motion.
Weird mic thing there. Health tech to the upside as a group. Eli Lilly leading the pack up about 6%. Retail trade also strong. Consumer services doing well. Health services, much like what we saw with health tech. Good look here as well. Commercial services to the upside. Consumer non-durables mostly to the upside. Tech services where things get interesting. Google and Oracle both pulling back here. You've got Netflix up 5%. Apple up 5%. ServiceNow up 7%. So lots of SaaS strength, if you will. Finance having some areas of strength, MasterCard, Berkshire Hathaway, and Visa, but some of these traditional banks that did really well yesterday after their stress test, they're pulling back today. Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs among them. Now, electronic tech, really weak here, guys. SanDisk, WDC, Marvell, Corning, KLAC, all pulling back sharply. Apple, the lone standout here, rebounding after a very rough session on Thursday. In fact, their worst session over a year. Producer manufacturing also weak. You've got AMAT, Caterpillar, LRCX, and GEV all to the downside, at least 2% each. Caterpillar, AMAT, and LRCX selling off a little bit more aggressively here. Back to you.
Caterpillar?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Like those things, like all those things that we're celebrating how great the chart's looking like. Oh my goodness. It's like, yeah, this is what everyone was saying yesterday, how they were untouchable. Well, it's right back to where we were not 24 hours ago, but close enough to it. Like, it happens, but still on trend, still holding. I mean, ultimately, trends up have pullbacks. Trends up have double top. Like, there's all kinds of things. They have consolidations and then breaks higher. You know, sometimes they go into bear territory. Like, all of these things are perfectly normal when it comes to the trend.
Who's good?
I feel like, you know what? I guess it didn't work. The ending that poll obviously didn't really work out that well for Micron because it still continued all the way down into VWAP. Probably should have reloaded on DRAM. We took IBIT instead. Effectively the same trade. I mean, IBIT to VWAP was the same thing as DRAM would have been to DRAM and VWAP, but they're all bouncing. Like even IBIT just now. Well, no, it's holding. It's holding VWAP. You're getting a bit of a better bounce elsewhere. I just see Blizzardo saying Amazon long, there's some real strength. You know where else there's strength?
Where?
I'm just going to point this one out again. All right. Today, if BlackBerry shows a bounce off of VWAP and I don't at least try it, I'm going to be mad with myself. I don't mind missing it early because it wasn't part of the trading plan. IBIT was, DRAM was, those both work. The only thing that I didn't trade that was part of the plan was that Apple 274 because that's not where I was looking at 9:30. I was looking at the other three a little more intently. But this, look at the breakout, hold VWAP, hold VWAP, hold VWAP, hold VWAP. Like, are you kidding me? If this gets to VWAP, I'm at least taking a shot at it.
Yeah.
Up 7% after earnings play. It's also a breakout on the daily above $11. So if it pulls back and bounces, I mean, why not? It's at least worth a try, right? Like, it's got to be worth it. Doesn't mean it has to work, but it's certainly worth it if it gets back down there. Shouldn't have missed out.
Yeah. All right, guys, put some names in the chat. What's everyone trading? How's everyone's day going? I know we have a poll up there.
Well, I finished the poll.
Let's see how everyone's doing here. I know Sean likes to get the wave, but we're gonna do red or green here this morning. How's everyone doing? I'm gonna start things off. We're gonna kick it off. See Adair, you can put it in there. I got the big red angry face here. Oh, what happened? Where'd it go?
I see it.
Why is it there? It looked like it was removed. Red says Jesse, boring Marvel. So put your red and your greens up in the chat and see how everyone's performing, guys. It's Friday. Let's not get too carried away. Green, yeah, we got the green in the wave. Bear Slayer, that doesn't even really say anything. Hangry Wife got the cash tongue out there. So nice work there. YK giving the okay, we like that. Green from Neil's end of things. We have Trading Nurse, triple green heart. We like that. Shout out to everyone, Google and Path. All right, that's not a color, but we'll take a look at those names to see what they're up to. We got some broccoli up there, one of my favorite vegetables, one of Neil's least favorite vegetables. So opposite on that end.
Kale.
Neil.
I love every vegetable except for broccoli.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't like cauliflower, but there's like lots of ways I do actually like it, so I can't get. And Brussels sprouts.
You like
those
Brussels
two?
sprouts?
No, those are the two.
Yeah.
No.
They smell.
Everything else, I'm good.
Here's Google on the 15-minute, guys.
But
running into this
broccoli,
this pre-market low. I like the crunch of broccoli. Bok choy starting to climb the ranks for me.
Yes.
$340 on Google, guys, heading towards some key pre-market lows. Let's see if we can break through that level and take that next step higher on the 15-minute time frame. A nice indecision print there and some strong upticks. Hopefully that's going to help drive the market a little bit higher here, Neil. Microsoft up 4%.
I hope it does, and you get that continuation. I do. Right now, I'm just kind of hoping. All right, if we're gonna go back higher, just slide back enough to pick up this trend on BlackBerry. Because I don't want to be looking at it here just because it's $11 and that's that prior high. That's fine, but I'd rather be looking at the VWAP trade. So I just want it to go down a little bit more. And Daryl Flinch, to your point about broccoli, just throw some cheese on, melt some cheese on it. Look, man, if you have to drench it in cheese for you to get through it, it kind of defeats the purpose for me. Like, I'm talking about vegetables that I just don't need anything. You don't have to season it. I'm just ready to eat, just ready to go. Like, that's why I love kale. I can do that, but like, I just can't do that with broccoli. So blackberry's one that's on the mind. I'm still not completely. I don't think I'm done with IBIT here, but for now it's holding VWAP. It's not really showing any continuation. A name that it's been a while we haven't mentioned. I don't know. It's like 10:46, and not a single person on the show has mentioned Intel.
Philly.
Usually that's me, so. Not that it matters. Micron's a bigger play today. I had DRAM on the mind, so that's what we traded because after it's post-Micron. And memory stocks have been the play. That said,
you got that.
When I see this go right into like right here, we're having this breakout into the close at 131 quarter. Double top 131 quarter. I know it's a bull flag, but I feel like this one it could end up being a breakdown short. It could also just end up being a short at the 131 quarter as well. But that's an obvious level which is standing out on Intel, which I'm also going to add to the list of things that I am trying to get into for the next trade. Because it's really just been SpaceX didn't work, DRAM did, IBIT did, and then I didn't trade Apple, which was, obviously this held out really well. Look at the higher lows on Apple too. Held that 74 perfectly, higher low, higher low. Apple's on one today, but it's only 1.5%, and it hasn't broken through this top. It's only so good if you don't break resistance. I don't care how strong the market bounces or anything bounces. If it doesn't break first resistance, has it really done anything? Adara? No? Yes.
Lululemon. Keep an eye on this name here. I'm having a good day. So is a lot of the market. But Michael Burry announcing on his Substack he's increasing his position in Lulu. He's been long Lulu. So LULU on watch. I won't say it's squeezing like a lemon, but I will say it's to the upside here. Back to you.
Lululemon, man. I don't even have that on my watch list. I don't even have
exactly
retail. I mean, like on my perma watch list, Neil. Thing that I'm always consistently adding names to. I don't have any of the retail clothing brands on my watch list. But are you in any like clothing?
No.
Things? Yeah.
I've had swing trades in Lulu twice.
Yeah. How'd those go?
One was a good win. The other one was basically flat.
Okay. All right.
Slight loss and some fees, but no. They're a no for me. And it's not. I think there's like a trade that might be in there if you want to, like from time to time. But whoops. And see what muscle memory did?
Yeah, you went Lilly.
You know the most. You know how you can tell like real. Real is real.
Real is real.
Like even when I'm talking about Lululemon and saying how I don't really own the stock, and I type L into a chart, I end up going to the stock that I do own in my portfolio without even thinking about it. I type L in a chart without even thinking about it. I'm going to the stock that I like.
Lilly.
That is so weird. Our brains are just jacked.
When I was trying to type in Netflix, I just go straight to NVDA.
Well, because my brain knows we don't want to look at Lulu. We like Eli Lilly. We don't like Lululemon. My brain already knows this.
Oh.
It doesn't. I'm just hardwired not to call up this stock unless you guys want to talk about it. And this is why.
Oh, look at FCell go.
Why?
Wow, got an upgrade this morning too.
What are we doing? Why?
What are we doing?
Look at this thing. Ugh. Yeah. I don't even look at the monthly. It gets worse too. That was a weekly. Look at the monthly chart. No.
Stop it.
No. What else do we have
just
here?
Pouring salt in the wound. Draw a downtrend line.
I want to see what else I can hit here.
Just hit one more thing. Hit the tree is falling.
Emotional damage.
That's not even emotional damage. That's financial damage at that point. Why would anyone buy? Listen,
Well, with a super chat too.
Yeah, man. Why would anyone buy Lululemon when everyone knows the best men's clothing is Paul's Boutique? That's Paul's Boutique, and they're in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. From the BX Connect, shout out. First of all, cheese in a chair, love it.
Have you ever been to
Check out Paul's Boutique in Brooklyn.
Oh.
There you go. Why would anyone like Lulu? That is, look, man, we appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Well done. Respect, credit where credit is due. And we just said it a couple more times for you in there. So Paul's Boutique. Why not? Anyways, just the last thought on that Lulu thing. At some point, it's made bounces in the past. It did this bounce On the monthly chart, this was a good swing here. It was before it was bouncing off the 50 period on the monthly chart, and that was good. It did a very slight bounce off the 200 period on the monthly. That kind of gave you a little bit of a jump, but then it would have stopped you out. So like that would be the more flat trade that was for me. But it's had swings in it before, but the trend is unabated to, I don't even know what's this level here, $79, $80. See this high on the monthly? Right there. And then it broke out. So 80. The next time I look for a trade in my personal account on Lulu, it's going to be down at $80, just looking at the chart. Let's go back up to the desk. I believe we should be doing Money Talks now.
Not only should we be doing Money Talks right now, we will be doing Money Talks right now. Also, guys, a quick headline here. In the USO space, Oman reportedly warning European allies that ship fees are likely going to be needed for Hormuz. Now, we know one of the biggest things here with the U.S. and Iran in this deal is that the U.S. does not want there to be any kind of fees here for passage through the Strait of Hormuz. This could become a bit of an issue. In the meantime, let's talk about the DXY, which is having a little bit of an issue here with this 101.70 level, 101.80. We reached this level. This was a multi-year high or over 1 year high that we reached on Wednesday, pulled back yesterday, today, pulling back even further. Next level of potential support here that looks kind of obvious in the daily chart. Prior resistance around that 100.6 level. Again, just a speculation. Let's see what actually happens if and when we get there. Let's talk here about University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Slightly lower than expected, 49.5, but above the prior print of 48.9. 1 year and 5 year Michigan inflation expectations exactly in line with estimates, 4.6% for 1 year, for 5 years, 3.3%. Let's talk about inflation and rate expectations here going forward. Here's the CME FedWatch tool, 70% chance of rates getting held here still at this July meeting in now just over a month. About 30% chance that we're going to get a 25 basis point hike. If you look forward, we're still seeing, this has been pretty steady since yesterday, we're going to maybe get a 25 basis point hike in September, but rates held steady beyond that point. Let's see if and when and as we get more inflation data, how all of this changes. Kind of a fun thing I want to talk about here as well during this Money Talk segment. We heard reports today that, according to the Wall Street Journal, that Kevin Warsh has selected 2 Federal Reserve researchers to serve as his advisors. So I wanted to look into these 2 individuals. This has not been posted yet. I'm going to probably post it over the weekend. We've got Daniel Kovitz and Eric Engstrong. Both these individuals, PhDs in economy. Pretty interesting look here. And combined 50 years of experience at the Fed. So these guys know what they're doing. They've worked at the Fed combined for 50 years, focused in different areas here of the markets. What's interesting, too, is they both have their undergrad degrees from the same liberal arts college in Pennsylvania, Swarthmore College, which I thought was kind of interesting. Apparently, this college has produced 6 Nobel Prize winners. So interesting look here for Kevin Warsh's advisors. Again, this infographic for those who are interested and, like me, want a little bit of inside info and some of this type of stuff. You can find this over the weekend on X at TTV Research. Back over to you.
Warsh in the heezy. Yeah. Oh, you know what time it is?
It is. Task Force is actually what he should be called, because I forget who it was. I don't know if you watched the whole thing, Neil. At some point, someone was asking him a question, and he said, yeah, the way he answered, he's like, you know what? Luckily for you, there's a task force for that. So I'm like,
he's a taskmaster.
Yeah, and so it's like, dude, what's going on? Yeah, was it? Yeah. It's like, luckily for you, there's a task force for that. So Task Force is the name. And I don't know if Wolf of Wall Street is the one, because he's actually trying to decouple from the way that the market reacts to the Fed decisions.
It is true. But it's 10:55, everybody. So I got to. Sharif has already seen it. I am going to scroll down to see what it is as well. Okay, yesterday we had the American flag. Today, we have the Italian flag.
Oh, yes, meatballs, spaghetti and meatballs.
It is not spaghetti and meatballs, believe it or not. We've got a classic beef and cheese lasagna, which I don't know that they've done before.
Oh, yeah, the carb police to the left of me is like, oh, man.
You want the carb police?
Yeah, I got to watch out.
Well, if you like carbs, I got more for you, because it also comes with garlic bread, everybody.
Hey,
so garlic bread on the side, roasted seasonal vegetables.
Lock me up,
Italian chopped salad.
Lock me up,
carbs to the left of them, carbs to the right of them. Volley and thunder.
Lock me up, officer.
What do you mean lock? There's nothing wrong with carbs.
I'm going to carb jail, my boy.
If it tastes good, Carb jail? if it tastes good.
No, why would I be going
might-
to Park there? Why did I know that?
We might be sleeping in the afternoon show that way. Oh, that's Blinky Spears.
What's up, Licky?
Yeah, we'll get that pizza. Don't worry about it. But
Yeah.
I don't want to waste the lunch. I'm still got to add a
No,
taste.
waste that, man.
It's gonna be here, so I'm gonna throw a little bit of it down. We'll save some room for the pizza. I don't know if anyone decided where we're getting the pizza from. I believe I left that
Rob,
task.
that's
I left the
crazy.
task up to Ramin and Fabian. They can decide. Sia. Everyone else can decide.
Ramin?
What we're doing
Yeah,
with
we
pizza.
don't wanna leave-
As long as the pizza is real pizza.
we don't want,
and
we
you
don't
know
want
what
to
I
leave
mean
too
by
many
that.
tasks over there. That's not the task force.
What do you mean? Oh, okay, I got you.
There it is.
Oh, I see.
Joe with a
I see.
W for the lunch. Yeah, good stuff, guys. I'm looking to get involved here with something. Someone mentioned fuel cell. It's been on a pretty big run. I mean, you can't chase it all the way up here. That's a quick 5% on this bad boy today. Even more, 10% maybe here on F-Cell, Neil, as this name continues to climb a little bit higher. Nice consolidation and then a nice rip upgrade here on today's session. So some of the analysts liking this name. Is there going to be an indecision print here on Bitcoin? Or are we going to start to climb a little bit higher? Maybe we take a stab, guys. Like, think about how much I used to trade IBIT. I very rarely trade it these days, but there's going to be a good opportunity, I believe, for us to get involved here with Bitcoin. So with that being said, it's a couple of minutes away before the midday. So finally, my family, Joe, looked at my ticker. Oh, my family. You will catch me momentarily to the left of me. I'll let Neil close things off as I go and set up over there.
Of course, he doesn't speak for like 5 more seconds.
Sorry, dude. I didn't even see that. I can
It's
continue
fine.
to go, man. You know me, I
know
can
what?
ramble on a little bit longer.
If there's a running theme on the show,
Someone asked why
it's
we don't have
catching me
Afghan
eating
food.
while I'm
I
on
don't
the
even
show.
know anything.
So it is what it is. No, but there's some names in here that are getting thrown around. F-Cell, up, BE, down. So let's go to the fun one because
down.
Fuel Cell is absolutely, this is what you call an uptrend. Now, I was impressed with BlackBerry, but F-Cell, that's a different ball game. It's a 10% short flow right now, so it's not even as big as it used to be over on F-Cell. But mini squeeze is a squeeze. Look at the trend on this. This is not some small capper which has been pumping and dumping or anything. This has been in an uptrend. Look at it respect the 50-period moving average. And now you're getting this local break today. Now, obviously, if we were keeping it real, you got a double top up here at 26. So anyone that's long from down there is probably looking to ring the register when it loses the trend or just to take 26. That's an obvious kind of spot. But it hasn't had any hiccups. On a 15-minute, there are 0 red candles. It was, what was it yesterday? It was Palantir and the IGV and Microsoft in the afternoon at 1% yesterday. At one point yesterday, where they were just kind of trending up. That was Palantir. Microsoft was an extreme one. I remember saying to myself, first red candle, go short. And when the first red candle of Microsoft happened, went short on Palantir. I would look at F-Cell for myself in the same way. Like, it's a crazy trend up. Forget about the 3. First red candle on the 15-minute, as long as we're not destroying this 26 level, and I'd probably look for a reversal. Just this way I like to look at it. I'm not going to chase a move like this, so I'll be still looking for that BlackBerry. Hopefully it'll bounce into VWAP and we can take this. But F-Cell's got to be on the radar. That's so distinct, all green. That's just a reversion trader's dream. So it's 11 o'clock. We're going to enjoy some of that lasagna, of course. We're going to throw you on over to, you've seen them already. Joe's been putting in work all week, and he'll be putting some more work in next week. We also have the professor. Go get him, boys.
Right?
Really?
Yeah. Boom.